you can see this session 2 competency mapping, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. So now here is the architecture we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
We spoke about the business enablers. When you actually start in your competency architecture, it's extremely important to understand what are the key business drivers. So you will actually do an interview with the CXO teams and understand where the business is, where is it going. In a sense, as I told you in the last session, is extremely important stage because for 2 reasons. One is you're going to build a competency framework which actually enables business, bases business needs. And the second is, as someone who's building the competency framework, you understand the scope of what it is. So expectation setting that what your framework can give to them is also going to be another advantage when you do this, a big advantage, because scoping is very important, right? So typically, as I spoke to you, they said, they would be typically saying, we want everybody to be aligning to vision or foster partnerships or deliver outcomes or many more things that they might come up with. So you're actually going to keep writing them down and distill them, compile them, and come up with core enablers. It's always advisable to keep them no more than 3, because then you'll be able to hold on to the strengths, because below that, a lot more subsets will come up, right? From there, you will actually get to understand if this thing aligning to vision, and say Venkateswara is a CEO and I'm talking to him, he says, the most important enabler for my business is aligning to vision.
Can you mute everybody?
Can you mute everybody? Yeah, great. All right. So they would actually say aligning to vision. Every partner, every member who's linked to the organization should be aligning to vision. So it's a very overarching statement, but what does it mean? And it means many things, right? It means, what does it mean to an executive leadership? What would it mean to a frontline supervisor? What would it mean to a workman? What does it mean to, in terms of a behavior? Alignment means what? It won't be the same for a frontline supervisor or a junior manager when you have to even the president of the company. It would be very different, right? Aligning to vision, what it means. So those understanding of what those behavioral expectations is what you're going to do as a first step in the architecture. Once you get that, you get a lot of these kind of statements. These are nothing but they are called key competency indicators. So when we build our framework, we go from the top first, and then we quickly go on to the bottom. Understanding what it means at the ground level means what it means as demonstrable behaviors by every stakeholder and member of the organization. Once we have that, what did this mean? If you actually keep reading, this is all about customer, right? They were talking when we asked them, what does this mean to you? So what are the key success factors would be for the organization? What do you think collectively the organizational members, could it be at various levels, be demonstrated behaviors that will enable achieve your business plans? So when they're talking about customer area, there would be customer area, there would be thinking, strategic thinking, there would be collaboration, there could be delivery, there could be, leading people, there could be, a lot of things that can come out. I just took about a customer to talk about how the architecture could be looking like. When they talk about customer, they are in a sense giving it, they're not going to tell you this is about customer. You're going to get saying, I want to see my senior executive leadership as being a trusted advisor to my customers. I would want, at the lowest level, if I talk at the management band, at the lowest level, every junior manager should understand, if they have an understanding of internal and external customers' immediate and long-term needs, I think that's a big alignment and enabler. Then it spans across to the president that he or she should be seen as a trusted advisor. Just see how the expectations on one area of creating customer delight actually comes in. So all that they're saying is we need to create delight in our customers. Basically, they're talking about clients' business understanding. They're talking about, say, our clients need to be satisfied with us. We have huge problems that keep coming up. Problem avoidance doesn't mean that you put it under the carpet, but it actually a resolution so that problems don't. One is problem avoidance is how do you really proactively understand what clients' needs and problems are, and how do you provide a resolution to that? And that's what we expect to be as enabler, demonstrated behaviors from our teams. Then they say client client relationship buildings. So some of these things will come up. So they must have also spoken about working in collaboration. They will also speak about leading and developing. And they will actually give you a lot of things. So this is how a typical competency architecture looks like. Now here, aligning to vision, we are yet to build. This is a sample I'm giving you. So you would be having some, the indicators which you have here at the bottom will actually, when they speak to you as demonstrated statements across levels, you need to really be very careful in that's part of data compilation, and how do you really do it, we'll just go through that. But they would be talking about so many things. Then you go from bottom to up and understand what are some of the themes that are coming up. When I put only the text which is here from below, apart from many, it has been distilled, it has been refined, and all of that stuff from raw data that we got and inputs that we get. And then it's all about these 4 areas. Now, these are called as competency themes. From the themes, you will emerge a competency, which is more like a title. Now, why do you have this? Is because fostering partnership is a key enabler. And what it means to us, I'm actually moving my cursor here, what it means to us as an organization is some of these demonstrated behaviors by our organization members across levels. That's how the architecture that typically we build in competency architecture. Any questions here? We'll go through how to do it. But any questions here? You can, anybody who's wanting to talk, please unmute yourself and speak. Is there any clarification required here? Somebody say no. If it is no, I'll move on.
I think we can move on.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Thank you. Now, how do we build this framework? This is nice to see, right? Architecture, we understand, we need to ask them, then we do, how do we really do it? How do I actually start off with my exercise? Well, it's a 4-step process. I told you very theoretically the other day. I'll just show you what it is. The first step is really about scoping and input gathering. You will be doing interviews across levels, departments, and locations of your organization. Now here, I'm again reiterating, we're talking about behavioral competencies. How do we build? We're not talking about technical competencies, okay? The first step, when you do interviews across, what do you ask, whom you ask, and are you supposed to be having the same questionnaire that you're going to ask everybody? We will see in the next slide. So the first step is all about scoping and input. It's an interview across levels and departments and locations as well. If you are building a global competency, your scope should be really defined. Say, suppose you're an organization and you want to build a competency framework. You're a multinational company across many other geographical locations, but your agenda or scope is only India, right? Then you have to really define that. And therefore, you will be talking to people who are within India, but also because India is a subset of your larger organization, I would encourage people to talk to the next level in terms of, understanding the business dynamics and what are the challenges of business, okay? The second is once you have your interviews, you'll have tons of data coming in. Now, the second step is really about data collation and competency identifications. Basically, what you will do is you'll have a list of information that you'll get as per your questionnaires, because everybody, you might be talking, if you have 10,000 people or, and you would want to take across levels, then you need to take a sample size enough. So for sure, you'll be talking to all the CXOs and you'll be talking to the next level. And then the third level on, which is a senior management when you talk about, and the below up to the junior management, you might take a sample. And this could be basis the scope for whom you are building this framework. If your scope is across the organization, you're a global organization, and you want this to be a global framework, then you must include all of them. If you are a subset of a global organization and you want to build this framework only for a particular subset, then your scope would be this, only the subset. However, have the interview and inputs of the next layer also, only to understand a perspective of what are the expectations from this subset. Because whatever the current subset head would be giving you will be a narrow one if you don't talk to the next level, because they are expected to deliver as expectations of the next level as well. Okay, this is a pointer to remember. Once you have the data collation and competency identified, it is encouraged to talk to peer companies. And why do we want to talk to peer companies? Anybody? Why do we want to talk to peer companies or companies in other sectors? Why do we want to go to someone and ask them, what are some of the success factors that will enable our business? Why do we want to talk to them?
Get a sense of how they're doing.
Sense of how they are doing, okay?
What they're doing.
What the other companies are doing.
And there could be some common challenges that could help to build up our framework.
Exactly.
What works and what didn't work, and what challenges were faced, or what were the hurdles in the pathway?
Absolutely. Because a leader is a leader in the industry space, right? So while your inputs internally are so governed by your own thoughts, you will not be knowing what are the breakthrough characteristics that you would want, which were success factors in other places or for other leaders. It's not essential that we're not saying here that you would be dependent on that. However, it is nice to hear from them. They might not at some point in time, they might not give you something very different than what you're talking about, but there might be a flavor which is very different. Especially when you go to other sectors, because leaders are leaders in the market space. Managers are managers in the market space. Similarly, a large MNC, which is into multi, businesses and multi-locations, right? The framework remains the same because we expect managers to behave this way in our organization, irrespective of whether you're in product A or product B or service A, service B, location A, location B, doesn't matter. For us as an organization, these are the capabilities that we need, demonstrable behaviors collectively. Therefore, it's also essential because you're going to hire people from the sector and from the industry. If you get a flavor of what it is, you'll also get to know what kind of capabilities that you can get inside the company as well. I think it's from that perspective also, and it's always nice to, sound off to someone and understand, are we doing the right things? Is there something that we are missing? That's the whole intent. However, it is a challenge unless your CXO has good friends in the sector and your executive leadership will sponsor and put a word in there. Nobody is going to talk to you. Why will somebody come and say, what are the success factors for their leaders? Therefore, it has to go either through a consortium or has to go through a reference from your own executive leadership. That's the tip. That's my experience has been wherever I have been, and I have tried to go and ask for the competitors. Basically, you need to have friends as HR folks. Either you talk in any of the HR forums. It doesn't matter if you get it formally or informally. This is secondary data that substantiates or strengthens the thoughts that you internally built in, and it's very important. Because otherwise it becomes a narrow sense. You have a couple of options. You have an option of having your own board members referring to you. You have an option of having your own executive leadership putting on you as a reference to someone. As HR folks, you attend a lot of seminars and a lot of forums. You can also touch base over there and look at it. There are also consortiums in the industry which are on competencies. You can reach out to them as well. Yeah, of course, Google is there. You can always do a secondary, sectorial and sector, or either you do a sector or out of the sector inputs you can always gather, but it is extremely important to have that framework. Once you have that, you build your framework, go back and do a peer review. Because until now, it's all raw data and information. Once you put the entire frame in mind, here is where you need to reach out to the experts on competency frameworks and institutionalizing. Don't go to people who build a competency framework. Go to a person or two who actually have been institutionalizing them. I think that's very important. In one of my companies, went to HUL. I went to Aditya Birla Group because I felt that HUL is one company who even identifies their next CEO 10 years ahead. And they have a big, competency framework, and it was amazing inputs to get. I went there, I went to Leena Nair, I asked her, but Leena Nair would not be giving me a time. She's the executive vice president, she's on the board. She wouldn't give me time, right? So I went through my board and ask them to put in a word to them so that they could review our framework. So I leave it to you to what depth you want to go. At times it is easy said than done. It's not possible to get a peer review done, but as long as you can sound it off to someone other than the person who's involved into your organization, you get a clear perspective of whether you're going in the right direction or not. All right. So this is how we actually build as a 4-step. Any questions here?
How can we come to know that whether we are going in a right direction or not?
Well, yes. So that's where you need to have a couple of things that we do. One is we have, as I told you in the last session, we need to have an executive sponsorship because there would be participation of organizational members. And whether we're going in the right direction or not, the direction is actually given in your stage 1 when you are doing expectation setting and understanding what the company is expecting in terms of the business plan and the abilities required to realize that business. And if the executive leadership is not able to give you those inputs, then it's really a sad state because, or you need to, I'm sure they need to be knowing. If they do not, if you are not satisfied with their answers, I would strongly recommend that take help of experts to get that. Either whatever level of consultants you can go into, you can go to SHL, you can go to Hewitt, you can go to, a tier 2 kind of consultants who will actually pose the right questions to your executive leadership. I think that's important, getting the expectations internally, because these are enablers for the business plan and targets that the executive leadership has put in. So if you have put in this target, say, for example, if you are a $100 million dollar organization, you want to go to a 500 million organization, right? You're now in 2 products, you're going to get into 5 products in the next 3 years or 5 years. They gave you that plan, but they will also tell you what challenges you have now. And I'm certain that they are business leaders and they also know. Probably they will not be able to define it for you, but they will certainly give you inputs on what could be what could lead us to success. And what are those kind of or simple questions. We'll give you what questions you need to be asking them. We'll just go there in the next slide. These are the questions that you need to ask them. If they are not able to give you the answers, probably you're not asking the right questions. I think that's important. Any business entrepreneur who's setting up a number target, who's setting up a business plan, will also put their heads together, the executive leadership. Then they have to come and sit together and put their heads together. You have to facilitate a workshop. You have to facilitate a workshop in, come, let's all define and say, what is that we need to really go there? Right? So that's the right direction you'll be going in. When you do your peer review, and that's why the stage 3 and 4 is extremely important, they will tell you whether you're right or not, right? They will give you the flavor because they have nothing to gain or lose from this, right? They have no hidden agendas around this. They are very candid, and you can also go and ask a bunch of experts in the area to say, are we going in the right direction? This is where our business plan is. These are the expectations that we have set in terms of behavioral leadership expectations from our people. Are these in the right direction? Will these, if collectively our folks demonstrate, will it give us the advantage? So that's what you're going to ask. Now, however, a lot of companies also do a pilot. They take a time, they do a pilot, especially when they are doing it for the first time. Yeah, there are companies who've actually done this over and again, over and again, over and again. That's why you need to have them as your reviews. They will give you the right information and direction as well. Wherever, you're the best architect you're your own architect, but you need to have someone to really show you the mirror and say, you know what, I think this is too much of an expectation from them. First is the internal itself. Internal team you need to build in, who's going to be a core team, who's going to build this framework and who's going to be part of giving input, part of review and all of that. Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am, one question here. The step which you said, This is we are doing defining the framework for organizational competencies, not the functional and not the core one, correct?
Not technical. These are managerial and leadership competencies. Technical competencies will be a slightly different architecture and approach because it involves technicalities of input to output string of activities. That's how you actually look at technical, and they will be very different for different functions, different lines of businesses, right?
Okay, so these are the leadership competencies you're talking about.
Exactly, managerial, managerial to leader, which applies to how effectively you can manage your resources and all of that, right? We talk about that, how those who run the business right from the front line. They are not the workmen or they're not the technical competencies. Competencies are two sides of the coin you have. One is the behavioral competencies and the other is the technical competencies. So if you are writing for the, now let me take a mid part. If I'm writing it for the managers of, of my organization, any manager, let that manager be an HR manager, finance manager, production manager, quality manager, marketing manager, doesn't matter. These really apply to them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Then you add up an HR manager now in the role of a comp and ben expert need to have these competencies, because again, there are sub functions within those functions, right? Okay. So to what depth you want to go in a technical or functional competency is a completely different exercise. And therefore it gets into more in terms of, it looks at compensation and benefits. If you talk about competencies required for HR people. Now, HR could be functional if you're talking. They could be managers, they could be executives, they could be leaders, right? They could be COE heads.
Yes.
As managers, you follow these behavioral competencies, but a recruitment manager versus a comp and ben manager versus a COE head of, say, talent management and performance, right? The expectations of competencies will be a little different, right?
True.
Because there is subject matter expertise that you require.
Yes.
And therefore, that goes through another string of typically, it goes, if I just tell you for an example, in a collections business in BFSI, if you look at, collections is all about, bounce checks. When we actually say how much of collections or how you're going to write the technical competencies, anybody who collects a default or a dishonored check is a person who's into collections back, right? In a banking industry, if you look at, then how do I really define the proficiency level and how do I define what is required? What is required to collect a check? 1, 2, 3, I know. But when do I call somebody is trained, experienced, and expert? That is how we could go in a technical competency. Somebody who's a novice, then who's trained, who's experienced and expert. The architecture goes that way. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Great. So now when you're designing the first step, okay, the first step is about input and scoping. When you're designing the questionnaire is very important because somebody's asked me how do we know that we are going in the right direction? You're going in the right direction. The core of it is in the first one, executive leadership. They have laid out the business plan. They will tell you, if you ask them the right questions around what are the business plans, what are the current challenges that we are facing in achieving those business plans, what are the future plans, what we have, and what are the challenges in the future that we can encounter in our business landscape, right? So they give you a lot of information around it. Then you also ask them, then the second set you ask them about business plan, where are we going, what it is. And as I told you, the scope can be different for different companies because here it's a mixed crowd. So I'm just giving that. Typically in a service segment, you can see from a 3 to 5 to 10 year. But in manufacturing, even I look at somebody who can give even for, a 15-year, but a 3-year relook, a minimum period is 3 years. Because these are behavioral competencies, by the time you define, you make people understand what they are, and you actually build in a programs also to build those abilities, identify, build those abilities. It's going to be a year and a half, right? And unlike technical competency, behavioral competencies are extremely difficult to change. We did this in the first session, right? They are so strong, deep-rooted, they're character-changing kind of expectations. And therefore, the gestation, before even they could understand, if you actually, again, change expectations, then you can go nowhere. You cannot see change. Having said that, somebody asked me, how can we know that we are in the right direction? When you do a dip at the end of every year or a 3-year period, you will get to know what are the changes or advantages that you're getting. And that's part of institutionalizing. Are your competencies enabling performance? So your performance management should be linked to, your competency should be helping and showing results in their performance. It should be showing results in your customer satisfaction. It should be showing results in your scores. It should be showing results in your customer satisfaction, because all of these are behaviors impacting these factors which a business leader is going to give you, right? They're going to tell you what are the challenges, what are the future challenges, what are the success factors, what is the organization design, current design challenges. What is the vision of the future organization design? So if your organization design is going to change, say 5 years down the line, the roles are going to change, right? The impact of the roles are going to change because their span and scope is going to change. So if you define basis a current one and expectation that, these behaviors will build that larger organization, it does not match because somewhere you didn't look at that path. So when you start looking, and therefore, competencies, especially when you ask, they are all more challenging expectations at times. Yeah. Same time, you have to be so cautious when you're when you're writing those descriptions, that they should not be unachievable expectations. There should be something not very lenient, not something which is not achievable, something in between which will take the organization from the level you are to the level you want to go. Okay. So as you're writing, you'll ask that question. There need to be a rigor in that process. And that's what we do actually when we facilitate. We actually do that. We keep pushing. We keep imagining whether it would be giving us the results or not. We actually put even each of the functional heads in that, so that they know in their function will it work or not. Because at the end of the day, these competencies, what you write will be applicable to everybody. Right? Therefore, the committee of your competency framework building is very important. You get different perspectives. Right? And then you go to the management teams and ask them about performance. Here is what I was telling you, right? What are the key performance indicators, current performance challenges? What are the performance success factors? Now you actually extrapolate the organization to the size they are talking of, say 5 years down the line, and you just say, okay, you just run a session of a workshop and say, okay, let's imagine we are sitting on 2025 and say, what is that some of the best practices or behaviors that your leaders are demonstrating, your managers demonstrating? You're being interviewed by somebody like a Times Now or Economic Times or Great Places to Work. What you would have to say? I think that's how you actually have to facilitate and take it out of them. They have to define. See, if they can't define, they would be having unrealistic expectations. Whether they're realistic or not, first step, let them state the expectations. Now, if any of you here say that your executive leadership cannot state, I'm not saying they can give you exact statements, but they can state what they see should be the capabilities in the organization. If they cannot, trust me, you will not be able to define. Don't even, take a facilitator for that. Take a facilitator. And so that they push the right questions, they get the right answers from them. Yeah. Then also important to be interviewing the role incumbents. What are your success factors? Where you think the organization is moving? What challenges you see going forward? What kind of managerial leadership, competencies or abilities that we need in the organization in a larger context? I think once you have this information, this is the first thing as part of your scoping and input gathering. A lot of information will come, and this typically is the foundation of your competency framework that you're going to build in. And therefore, you've got to spend a lot of time gathering the right information, gathering lots of information and data and thinking of people and stakeholders. Any questions here?
Bhagwati, just wanted to check.
Yeah.
All that you have mentioned in this particular slide, is it possible for the first time when an enterprise is implementing a competency framework? You think you may have a very good performance management or OD team, but is it possible to implement this or design a competency framework without, I would put it rather this way, by the internal team itself, by the internal performance management team? Or you think
Well, I don't.
it has to,
Go ahead.
we have to take a external, we need to take the help of an external consultant to make this happen? Because the type of questions which are mentioned over here, I think it will be very difficult for an internal team to actually put up to the, the CEO, CXO levels and all that, and get the responses, and then you compile that information, identify the correct competencies, define them, all those things. So just want to take your view on this.
Yeah. So Venkat, here is the question. Here is the response to you. Like, well, certainly it requires a subject matter expert in the area. Somebody who has done this before will be much easier and competent and confident enough to drive the executive leadership to questioning. Basically, you're challenging and questioning. I get your point, right? Now, if you ask me, both the ways work. If you have an internal person who has already experienced doing this, then I think you can do it. Like, say, I have done it for a couple of companies where I worked, because I've already done this as a Mercer consultant, right? I've already designed frameworks, but here in this role which I was working, I was actually hired for this purpose. I was hired for the purpose of enabling organization move from, say, they were 300 million to a $750 million company, or they were 36,000 people going to 25,000 people. That's because you need to have a person who is a talent management and a competency designing person, right? That's important. And who has internally, you can hire them, right? You can hire them for a stipulated period. I mean, the people come in even for 8 months, 6 months, design your thing, be internal part of your organization, do that. And that's one approach. If you don't have a person internally, I think that works out to much cheaper versus going to, I can give you the approach for you, Venkat, because, well, the company which hired me, I actually went for a different kind of a role, but they've said that we're going to give you this role because this is what we want. And just then Hewitt or SHL quoted almost $2 million for them to do it across the organization. So they said, we are okay spending, whatever, I, as a resource, as an individual, the two advantage when you have somebody internal is consultants will give you the framework and they go away. The internal person will actually take you through the entire process of institutionalizing as well. They will work, will be integrating it. And that's the call one needs to be taking in. If you have the money, great, you can pay the big 5-4 consultants, or even the second level consultants could be there. Or you can engage a retainer for a stipulated period to work on this program for you. And then it's actually a partnership. So I also do work like this with mid-sized companies who cannot afford to do, pay a huge amount of money. So I actually sign up on retainership where I work. That is actually, there would be an internal person and me collaboratively start doing. So I wear always the hat of the pusher, of the one who gives the thinking and push and get done, while a lot of groundwork will be done by the teams, which will be much let's be very clear, not all companies want to invest on this, especially when they are not very clear about where it's going, right? So that's the choice you have. If you can afford to get a budget for this, great, you can always go, and there is no right or wrong approach. I've done both of them. I've been the consultant who have actually driven it, and I've been internal as well. One advantage I saw when it is internal, and the reasoning why I've actually pushed back the CEO and the board at that point in time is why they wanted, is because they wanted it to be taking in long. Their vision was very clear. We don't want just a framework. We can always pay off the shelf and take it also. But we want it to be institutionalized into the way we manage our talent, the way we bring in our talent, the way we, expand. So that's how it actually works.
Thanks.
Or you can actually hire a mentor for the person who's going to drive this internally into the organization. That's also fine. That's also another option. But yes, you will certainly need a subject matter expert. Yeah. Okay.
Bhagwati, one more question. In the previous slide, you mentioned about the generic competencies and the technical competencies. And you gave that example of, the managers across the functions possessing a certain competencies, irrespective of the function and all.
Right.
Is there another category of competencies which runs all through across the levels in the enterprise?
Well, I don't think so. It is available. You can always design if you think you require, but the suggestion is that, the more you do it, the more confusing it is. Keep it simple as technical competencies required for the job, and that's a mammoth task. Companies mostly embark on managerial and leadership competencies first, especially when they're doing it for the first time. Because what happens there, this is Venkat, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
That's
so Venkat, it's extremely important to have a complete enrollment of mindset also by the leaders and the managers. That's extremely important on the concept itself.
Okay.
On the concept itself. Otherwise, there's a lot of skepticism around it. Okay. What will this do? It's a huge investment. So companies, what they do is, while they do technical competencies for some of the core or areas, typically I have seen that, technical competencies, they go for a safety net, probably to test out or pilot or something for the support or enabling functions. And they go for, first thing is they go for managerial and leadership competencies. Because as a concept, if it gets digested in the managers and leaders, right, then the acceptability of the approach itself to technical competencies become easy. If they don't see any advantage, right, they will not be enrolled over there. Then it becomes another HR scheme that you're only driving and nobody's interested in it.
Okay. No, because some organizations, they also have this, the core competencies, which right from the CEO to the worker level, you have, they expect that every individual should be possessing the core competencies.
Exactly. Yes. Core competencies typically are also put in, like, say, when we did, the whole world of competencies has come up when PCMM has come in the early 90s, right? The core competencies, when we talk about, what is that key differentiator in the organization? Since you touched upon core competencies, but this is, I start off with core competencies in a normal in-class workshop, which is like a 3-day workshop for leaders. Because this is a generic program, I really didn't go that high because the scope of this entire program is how to build a competency framework, right? So the core competencies, now for the interest of, I'm diverting a bit, but I think it's an interesting topic to know. I have a question for this team. Anybody can give me, what is the core competency of Boeing? This is a typical question that we ask executive leaders, and they are CXO, CEOs, and things like that. And I'll be glad if we can get this here. What is the core competency are key differentiators. Okay, I'll give you 2 examples to understand what core competencies are. And what we're talking about now is behavioral, managerial competencies or generic competencies, right? And then there would be technical core competencies of a business. Exactly, you're right, Venkat. That's how it should actually start flowing. Then we actually flow from there. We flow the organization's performance management, balance scorecards. All of them actually tie up there. That's a different plane of discussion. But I asked this team here, what is a core competency? I told you that it is a key differentiator for a company. Now, give me an example. Give me an answer. What you think is the core competency of Boeing, which they actually harp upon and is a key differentiator between other people who make planes. There are a lot of people who make planes, right? How did they define core competency as? Anybody?
Actually, that's a difficult question because.
Okay. Okay. So I'll give you the answer. Yeah, I'll give you the answer.
Decision comfort.
Precision technology.
Precision technology. No. Precision technology. Even other companies would have precision technology. Airbus, they could also go into anybody who's making a plane will get into precision.
The sitting comfort.
Seating comfort. Boeing does only seating. In fact, Boeing doesn't do the seats. They outsource it and they actually integrate it. They don't make seats. So anyway, it's a tough question, I understand, but very interesting question. If it's in a live session, we would have had a lot of fun. Okay. Yeah. So I'll ask another question. Just mute yourself, Venkateshwaran, please. So I'll ask another question to this team. What made Xerox lose over Canon? Xerox is an utter failure. Canon has taken off.
Cost efficiency.
Fast efficiency. Fast efficiency. Well, Xerox also can give
adapting,
a lot of...
I guess adapting the technology, the way technology demanded them to progress, or what do you say? The rate of adapting to the new technology, probably they could not do it as Canon did.
Exactly. You're all very, very close there, Aarti. You know what? Xerox and then Canon also came in to do photocopying. Xerox was only photocopying. Canon was also photocopying, right? Initially, they started off. And when Xerox as a brand did not give market share to Canon, they stepped back and they said, how can we do something different? And they actually said, what are we good at? We are good at what is photocopying? It's image capturing. They actually took the core competency of image capturing and moved on into making cameras. So the core competency of Xerox, which was taken away by Canon, and then they have leveraged on that core competency, because Xerox could also have done that. They were the pioneers. They were the first ones who got into the image capturing, right? But they did not realize what their core competency was. At the core of their action or activity or their product is image capturing, right? So similarly, the core of Boeing, the key differentiator of Boeing from other plane makers was the making of the wings. And nobody else was matching up for decades and decades with them. See, these are some of the case studies. I mean, I'll be more than happy to share with you when we actually do on competencies or talent management. We really, read up these case studies, how Boeing actually is the key differentiator. If you just Google up, you'll get these, what made Xerox lose over to Canon and many of them, right? So we see, how is Apple doing a lot of these things different than anybody else can be doing. So they actually go into the core of what it is. So to your question, Venkat, is that core competencies, yes, an organization which actually can identify their key differentiator as a business key differentiator, as a product key differentiator, or not just the product, but the enabler of product, one fraction of a product. What is that key differentiator is called the core competency. And that competency should be running down till the last level of worker. No doubts about it. But in between, there is a whole lot of managerial abilities, and therefore, we're talking about it. That's a different plane. Yes, you need that. No doubts about it. And that's an interesting exercise. All right, so let's move on, right? Did I answer your question, Venkat?
Yeah, Bhagwati. Thanks so much.
All right. So once we have this questionnaire, the next step is really, how do we really collate the data and identify the competencies? I want to walk you through building a competency framework in a simple term for your organization. And anything over and above this, if we have to go into depth, I'm certainly available. We can always talk. Yeah. Well, if they're talking about, for example, all the data that you get from them, all the inputs that you get from all the 3 levels that you have interviewed and you got the information from, all that has to do with leading and developing. If they're talking about leading and developing, when you read, you'll get to know, right? They're talking about leading people, development, all of these things. Typically, you'll get statements like these. If you just put all of these collectively, right? If you I encourage you to read from the right. You create a picture for the future and keeps the vision alive through words and action. It's a demonstrable behavior. Now, if I just jump to the second one here, say provides direction and timely feedback to team members. You can read any of these. So typically in your interviewing across, when you're taking interviews and inputs, you will get statements like these. These are refined statements. They might not be giving in such clear terms to you. They will not say taking control in team meeting, leading teams in desired direction. No. When you are talking about, when you're asking questions about, when, say, suppose a CXO is talking, a COO is talking about leading people. Leading people is a big competency that we need in people. So say, okay, what does this mean? So what does it mean to this level? What does it mean to the next level? What does it mean to the front level? It means very different for everybody, right? You have to facilitate the questioning process so that you get these kind of inputs. The reason why I'm showing you this is a sample one done for one of the companies. And this is how, these are refined statements, because you go back and ask them, do you mean this? Do you mean this? Because words mean many things. And after 10 minutes, they will not have any statement to give you. It's extremely difficult. Therefore, you have to facilitate. And to Venkat's question, it's always nice to have a facilitator who can have and ask them these questions and push them to ask questions. Sometimes you have to put words in their mouths. But then if you know what you're driving to, and that's the bigger advantage of some of the big consulting companies, that they know what they're driving to. So they will actually fill in those gaps. Yeah. So look at here.
Ma'am, just one clarity. I'm looking forward to get from you here. If I read these lines, take control in team meetings and leads team in desired direction. This is like a motherhood statement, which will be in different vocabulary for different departments and across the level, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the point is here is they said, every member now, does this leading mean to take control in team meetings and leads team in desired direction? Now, versus if you just go on to the extreme right, create a picture of the future and keep the vision alive through words and actions. Here also, how do you keep it? What does it mean? So, you will get these kind of statements when you do your interviewing process. Now, how do you really compile them and make them into a sensible and expectations at the level of operation? I am operating as an HR executive, or you are operating as a manager operations, right? There is someone who is the head of finance. There is somebody who is actually your quality controller. So what does it mean at a managerial level, at an executive level? What does it mean? Leading and development means what? Right? You can't say create picture of the future and keep vision alive through words and actions. That expectation cannot be for a frontline manager, right? It's too a high expectation. Who creates the picture of the future? It's the presidents, it's the executive leadership. Now, do you want to peg that expectation at mid-management? Is your choice. So what I'm saying is you'll be getting these kind of inputs. So this is actually a sample that I'm actually showing you. You'll be getting those kind of statements. Then you'll also ask them, so how do you want, so is it the same expectation for your manager? And is it the same, so what do you think that the executive vice president should be doing? What do you think that a general manager should be doing in this area? So that's how your questioning should be going on. Okay. Now, it's also important to ask for some of the derailers. The reason why being is, if a person does not demonstrate positive behaviors, if the person stops demonstrating negative behaviors, they do a big contribution to the organization. I'm always in favor of writing down and telling them unacceptable behaviors, especially when I'm launching it for the first time. And you don't have to be for every level what is unacceptable. Negative, the more you give positivity, the more you develop. But then the negativity has to be negated. Therefore, you start knocking off and say, these two things are a big no across the organization. Those typically come when you say, what are the challenges? What are the derailers in behaviors of our company? What is that holding us from being a good to a great company? I think those questions you'll actually get, and therefore you can see down some of those negative. These are just indicators what they will give. Now, once you have these indicators, now here is what meetings with, then you'll be getting these kind of identification you'll do after your data comes. Once your data comes in, the third thing is also look at data from the other companies we said, right? So meetings with peer companies, what are your leaders, managers, frontline team success factors? This is one question that you're going to go and ask them, right? And then in conversations, you'll tell them why you're doing what it is, and then you might be getting. When you're drafting, then you go in drafting your competencies, taking both internal and external inputs. So you'll take these kind of statements. You'll get, actually, trust me, you'll get a huge lot, because your sample size, maybe if you're 10,000 people across the company, or if you're, it depends, all the CXOs, you might, at the least, you will have 6 CXOs. You have a CHRO, CFO, COO, CEO, and then maybe your finance controller and your security and safety, right? 6 at least in a company, at the least. You have to talk to all of them. All 6 will give you, if you put what all text that they have given, there'll be a huge list of text that you will get in terms of behavioral expectations. That you're going to ask them across levels, right? So just imagine how much of information you'll be having. Then you'll actually try to compile them. How your data will go in is, all that is talking about one particular theme. So everything around leading and developing, or around working in collaboration, or working around customers, or working around excellence, whatever they give, you need to just start putting them in one group. Then you will start getting themes out of it. Yeah, we'll see that now. So while you have internal inputs, you get external inputs, put both together. And this is how actually you will come up with some themes. So some themes will emerge like this. This is just a sample. Okay, you'll have many more themes come up. They're talking about providing direction. They're talking about coaching, mentoring, empowering teams. They're talking about, we spoke about client business understanding. They talk about teamwork. They talk about cross-functional relationships. They talk about strategic thinking. They talk about, delivering, performance management. They will talk about many things. So you need to compile them and put what are the themes coming up. Now, once you have these themes, this is the key in actually making the framework. Yeah, the foundation is the inputs, and this is the key themes that you get. Once you get what are they talking about, then you go here and start writing. What are they talking about? So underneath this, providing direction, you actually had taken from, text like this, a whole lot of text from all the people whom you have spoken to. Yeah, you actually get these. From among this, you tend to actually give a kind of definition or a statement saying, we are talking about coaching, motivating, leading by example, and providing direction. Similarly, what are they talking about? They're talking about excellent customer service, understanding internal, and now customer service is both internal and external. Now, this is exercise which I facilitated for one of the company. That's why I'm sharing it with you without the name of the company, without it. But this is live, right? I've just done this. And then they have client business understanding. This is, what are we talking about? We're talking about creating customer excellence, understanding internal and external, deliver beyond. Okay. So this is how, and then it's easy to stay in the heads of people when we give a title to all of those huge lot of statements, then making them into themes, and then defining what it is, and then giving one or two words to it. So what it means here is, what is leading and developing? It's all about coaching, motivating, leading by example, providing direction. Arti, to your point, this is a motherhood statement. Then if I go to a subset for this company, what it means, because it's very internally built in. For this company, it means providing direction, coaching and mentoring, empowering, creating energy. They want it. They say we are very dull. We need to create energy. And then lead by example, be a visionary. So what does it mean? How, I'll take you through the next slide, then it'll be very easy for you. So similarly, we got into the titles like this. So what happens here is you get the competencies and the definitions, right? So there is a competency, leading and developing. There is a competency, creating customer delight. There is a competency, working in collaboration. I just took these 3 to walk you through the process. Right? And here is what it means. Now, if you actually go by and say anybody, either you're hiring or you're, we know that across the organization, we need to create a high performance culture through coaching, motivating, leading by example, and providing direction to others. And that's why we want to drive leading and developing as a competency in our organization. Now, what does it mean to a junior management person? What does it mean to a middle management person? What does it mean to a senior management person? What does it mean to a executive leadership? So this is how it actually translates into in one slide for one particular competency. This is how we actually try to start culminating, gathering input, pushing and understanding where the business is, where it is going, what works now, what doesn't work now, what would be working or enabling to take the business to the next level, and distilling all that information and getting into clearly understandable and demonstrable, simple strips of descriptions. Now, what does this mean? The first one on leading and developing, if you look, is providing direction. Let's just hold on to that theme and see how it works. Now, providing direction is the first strip of information here. Just see, providing direction for a president or an executive level person means create the picture of the future and keep the vision alive through words and actions. Now, this is what he or she has to demonstrate. Now, you can also say that specify more, specify more. Well, there is no end to it, right? Because how does it translate? So the first question is, there are 3 EVPs over there. You want to see who's the person who actually can really keep the vision alive in their actions. So when you actually do your 360-degree feedback, you'll actually get it there. How are they actually managing their business, right? How are they driving people? How are they leading people? You actually see those. Oh yes, he actually leads by example. He keeps those words and alive. The vision, every time he or she talks about it, links to the final outcome of the company or where the company is going on, rather than talking, very vague or only driving things very tactically, right? Versus, now if you look at mid-management, provides direction and timely feedback to team members. At a middle management, this company says, if they can provide direction and timely feedback to their teams, that is the minimum behavior that will help in improving our talent in providing direction. And mind you, if you actually have, these are the 4 themes that we were talking about. This is how we actually come up. Now, any questions here? No. Okay, silence, I go ahead. Now, how is this actually read? Now, if you look at an EVP, when he or she takes up and says, what is that in for me? There are only 4 statements under leading and development. You got to create a picture future. You need to be mentor and guide leaders in order to develop. They are executive leadership. Therefore, they mentor and guide leaders, the next level leaders, in order to develop them as successors and encourage them to create pipeline of leaders in the. Isn't this a demonstrable behavior? Empowers others' responsibility by creating policy frameworks and environment that promotes autonomy in the organization. Now, the third one is a very heavy statement, empowering others' responsibility. Now, how is that means to a middle management? It's all about empowerment, right? We're talking about empowering and creating energy. Can you see this on the slide? Yeah?
Right.
Yeah. So empowering and creating energy. So what is empowering and creating is an overarching statement. I understand it is an organizational competency. But what does it mean as a simple demonstrable behavior that day in, day out, if my junior management to the senior leadership can demonstrate, there'll be wonders. All that they do is build enthusiasm for accomplishment of goals by demonstrating high energy level. Team manager, junior management, very high on energy. So what they are supposed to be doing, if there are people who are lagging, they actually push them, they motivate them, they start building, they participate in awards and recognitions. They actually give a lot more energy and enthusiasm to their teams. Now, what does it mean to a senior management here? He mobilizes people to take action. This is a very different demonstrable action than building enthusiasm, right? Building enthusiasm versus mobilizing people to take action using creative approaches to empower and motivate others. Now here, there will be no guidelines or strips of instructions given how to empower and motivate others. They have to be creative. Here you're saying they actually give enthusiasm. Now, if you look at mid-management, they empower employees, encourage them to take charge when they have the capability to manage stated goals. Are they giving them, the junior management and their teams, that space to take charge? Or are they only always dictating? What kind of leadership are you wanting to build? You want to build a leadership or a managerial ability or competency in the organization, which is highly empowering and creating energy. This is what the company wanted to do. And this is, to Venkat's question, this is what has been spelled out by the executive leadership and the next levels. Yeah. So that's the facilitation that we normally do so that we get to these kind of, sorry. Oh God, again. Give me a minute, please. Sharing. Oh, there are too many on my. Yeah. Sorry. Can you see the screen?
No, not yet.
No? Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
I think I have to do the screen share again. Yeah. Is it visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can be seen now.
I don't know why I've lost it. Yeah. So if you look at, say even only these 4 statements now, and the negative indicators are common for everybody. Unable to provide direction, you can always see that, right? So this company also has a lot of negative behaviors, and therefore they were keen to, start eliminating them. And then, in fact, they wanted negative behaviors for every level. I said, no, you cannot have. The more you keep hopping upon the negative behaviors, you will not be able to get positivity. Therefore, have negative indicators which are non-acceptable. You cannot say something is not acceptable at a junior level, but does that mean is acceptable at senior level? No. Whatever is not acceptable is not acceptable irrespective of what your level is, right? So now under creating customer, he or she will have only four statements that they are. Now what happened is this company had identified about 8 such competencies. So 8 into 4, there are 32 competencies, or basically 32 behavioral indicators that they felt are the success factors if they can demonstrate it to the highest level. And that would take their organization from where they were about 300 million, wanted to go to 750. Right now they are about 500. And this was something that I built about 3 years ago, so it's good. And yeah, so similarly, you would have for leading and developing for senior management, creating customer for senior management. So whoever in that level are, all that they will pick up is from your framework is 4 behaviors, expectations under each of the competencies. If I'm consciously changing myself, consciously demonstrating, then it will show in my performance. There's no way that it cannot share. It cannot show. Extremely difficult. 32 behaviors, right? Then, any questions here? This is how it actually looks for. Now, if you look, the negatives are all the same around. So I took only the 3 working in, yeah. Any questions? I took only 3, leading and developing, creating customer delight, and working in collaboration. If I go back, what is this actually rolling up to? I'm going back to show you how it looks on our framework. Okay, this is about creating customer delight, right? The ones which actually I showed you is on leading and developing. So for every such competencies we are talking about, each of this competency is aligned to the business enabler, which means the behaviors which are aligned to a theme, and the theme is aligned to a competency, and the competency is aligned to the business enabler. That's the architecture. There's no way that it can go wrong. If you institutionalize it better. Oh God, why is screen sharing stopping? I don't know if I'm, sorry. Screen share stopped, right?
Yeah.
Oh God. Is there something, an issue with the Microsoft? I don't know. Okay. So, actually creating trouble for me today. Sorry. Is it visible now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So any questions you have here? So now, do you get how to get to this place? Something like this.
I think it's quite a difficult. It requires a lot of. I don't know what sort of how many years of expertise you require to put in these behavioral indicators. Because I'm sure, guys, even at with 15-20 years experience also. If you have not implemented competencies or been part of the whole thing for at least some 5 or 6 assignments, it will be very difficult to write this behavioral indicator. is my personal opinion.
You're right, Venkat. I mean, it does take a lot, because more important is the person who's actually going to drive this needs to know what goes into it, both as a designer and as an implementer. What I would suggest is if there is nobody in your organization who has gone through this, either they take a mentor who has done this, or, the easiest is to hire a consultant, but if you feel that's extremely expensive to go to those big four, they are second level consultants, or you can also take a mentor to really, like say when I have, the reason why I have built it, because I built it as a consultant, I built it for multiple clients over years. I built it internally because my roles also comes as internal consultant within the organization. So I think it does come as, it's a knack that we build in, right? Any competency is a knack that we build in, right? Absolutely, so I think it's a knack, but it's not that tough. If you do it once, you get the hang of it. You get really the hang of it. If one puts their head and heart into it, it's not difficult. But yes, it is. It requires a lot of out-of-box thinking. Basically, you need to put yourself out of that. When you build internally, and especially when you are an organizational member for long. Now, when we did this exercise, I did it when I was internally in the company. We deliberately took 6 to 8 months time, because it was a global framework, and we wanted to involve every country head also, because it was for the organization intern, and the executive sponsorship was no other than the MD and the managing director and the CEO. Otherwise it won't go, especially when it comes to leadership. And then who will listen to you? Who will give you time to give these interviews? And the other important thing is, when we're doing these, there's a lot of fear psychosis in the organization. Say if you're going to a senior manager and asking him, where do you think you stand? Are whatever demonstrated behaviors that you're doing good? Do you think you're great? Do you think you need to exhibiting anything different than this? This was an organization which was very open, very friendly, and anybody can walk into the CEO kind of, even in that organization, people in such kind of an organization, very employee supportive, very leadership, very inclusive organization. Even then people were intimidated. What happens is they would ask me and say, Bhagwati, but why are we doing this? There's also a flavor to it, because, when you're doing it internally and you're spending so much of time, you also parallelly do a lot of things in understanding where the guys are and all. So I had to literally push the CEO. He being the COO also, would ask questions to them in a way, do you think we are $1 billion company, you can be the president of the company? Well, the guy is really shattered by then. He thinks, are they showing me the door out? So I have to literally tell him, you're not going to ask any such questions. No, you will ask only these questions that I gave you. Okay. If you want any other question, please use your own forum to do that, not this. Right. Because it will derail my process. Our intent of building this framework was talent development. Organizational competency building is not to intimidate or chuck people out. Please don't derail my process. I had to be so vocal about it. You need a strong personality to do that. Otherwise, it really creates a lot of fear psychosis in people. Okay. And they'll start leaving. There was one guy who actually started applying in Tamil. Why? He says, "Nahi yaar, ye competencies ka jo exercise ho raha hai na, it's too much, very high expectations. I can't do it." I said, "So why do you have to leave it? Why do you have to leave the company?" Yeah. He says, "No, I know where it's heading to." I said there was somewhere a wrong message. We didn't want people to leave. You have to be extremely careful in launch, in communication, and even in enrolling people.
At least the competencies, that's still okay. But when senior guys are put through assessment center, then it becomes all the more challenging, I think.
Well, assessment centers, I've actually driven the same assessment center. What we did is that I designed the assessment centers, and yes, for executive lead, because you need 2 levels up to do the assessment for, for an assessment, right? You can't do immediate level. So I needed general managers to do for managers, because there was in middle management and junior management. So we used vice presidents. So I've actually trained them to do an assessment center. And they did it for the people, because we didn't want to spend so much money on an external consultants coming and doing assessment centers, because that numbers were large. But for the VPs and general managers, we did it externally. We did it externally against these same competencies. But we did it after 1.5 years. The first year of institutionalizing was into LMD, was into development. We told them, do a self-assessment. And the reporting managers will also do an assessment. Collectively, we will sit. The first year, we will make a development plan, right, for the individuals. We also use this as a tool for building our 360. So we did use we institutionalized in 2 places. One is development. The other is in culture building. Basically, a culture of competence, a culture of talent, a culture of we need to get better. We need to go, really pull up our socks and do things which are very different by self-assessment, self-evaluation, so that fear psychosis is not. But that's the culture of the organization. That was the thing that the CEO and the MD used to drive. Not all organizations would do. No. But then if we can do that, that's the best way of institutionalizing, and it lasts long. There's no fear psychosis. Then we use that for potential assessment and succession planning. When you do succession planning at very senior level, we did this for succession planning. So if you look at here, all these descriptions around the EVP, every VP was assessed against these VP behaviors over a year. Observable behaviors. And then we put the metrics of potential and performance. And then we started looking at it. And we didn't go out to do potential assessment. We designed our own basis this. Yeah. So it all depends on what kind of sign up that you have, what's the, sometimes, when we started doing this, the board started accepting that this is something that we can invest money in. And that's how I got sponsorship and board's approval to do external assessment centers for EVPs and VPs, which is very huge. For each person, they charge around 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs. And that was big for us. But then the board has to approve, right? Because it's a huge budget.
Correct.
So, but then we said, because we positioned and said for 1.5 years, we used it very positively. And every quarter, we reported how our engagement scores have increased, how our development plans have been leading, how it's linking to performance. So when we actually started showing them over the 4-5 quarters, that's when we got approval for the assessment centers for the senior level. And assessment for senior level could be anywhere between, depends on whom you're going into. DHL would actually charge around 6 lakhs because they do in-person. That was more for successor identified and all that stuff. Who is the next CEO? Who's the next country head kinds. So you only invest on few people, right? But that needs board approval. Yeah. But then it's not that difficult to Venkat. It's not that difficult. If you have the right person to guide you, I think it's okay. You can do it internally. But my suggestion to people would be, don't go by a Google search and start getting these competency statements and push it like, nobody's business. It just is just an exercise that goes in. But if that is the need of the hour, fair enough. If from a development standpoint, you want to look at how my LMD is being planned, right? Leadership and management development, what should be my focus for the year? Identifying some themes, some areas, and then, putting up is okay. But if you're looking at a long-term building capability, like you talked about core competencies and all that stuff, I suggest you build a framework which will at least last for some years. And the development plans are actually linked to it. Performance management is linked to it. Your hiring, your talent acquisition. So another thing what we did is that we've institutionalized this into recruitment. So we started doing competency-based interviewing. So the entire interviewer panel was trained on competency-based interviewing. And that also takes time. It's not that you train them and the next interview, they are perfect.
No, yeah, correct.
Right? It takes time. All right. So this is how it actually looks like. Once you're done with the entire exercise like this, typically it looks like this. You would have behavioral competencies. You can give so they called it as a spirit, whatever their company, and then the spirit, because it's like they wanted to run it all over. So typically they had aligning to vision, fostering, delivering positive outcomes. These are, I put it up to define because it's for you guys who have to define it in your company. But as a sample, you can get like this something. So one card, what I did in that company is this one little postcard, I posted it in every cabin. In every workstation. So they know for sure these are the core competencies in the organization that we need to demonstrate. And it's a reminder to them always. Yeah. Now, what's the time? A quick time check. Oh, 12:38. We are good on time. So it's 12:40. Any questions around this? Now, otherwise, we want to do an exercise breaking out into groups and actually go in doing this entire exercise.
Ma'am, I had a question, Lavanya
Yeah,
here.
please.
I wanted to understand how mandatory it is to arrive at negative indicators in order to get the positive indicators.
Well,
or is it optional?
It's very, very, very optional. Okay. Depends on your culture, depends on what you want to really put in. It's not at all required. There were a couple of companies who actually said, because they were really, really going bad in terms of some non-acceptable behaviors, and at the same time, they are so friendly organization that, that's another competency that they had to build as leaders to tell them on their face that this is not acceptable. But then they use this path to give negative indicators. Mm-hmm. To tell people, see, sometimes you don't want to tell people on their face that, you're not good. But you show them saying, if you're demonstrating this, you're not good. So please be watchful by yourself. Nobody's going to tell you. It's written there. Read it up. You want to stop doing. See, what happens is then people actually keep looking, right? They will. The best way to change is publish. It's only to create that consciousness that there were two clients who did that. There were two clients of mine who did that. But not all go. They are afraid of even publishing. But yes, it depends on what the culture is, what you want to do and what you don't want to do. It's not mandatory at all. Any questions, anyone? Do we want to take a quick bio break and come back? And I want you to do an exercise. Yeah. By the groups. Now here is what, okay, I'll just give some time. Is there any questions by anyone here? No? Lavanya, Venkatrao?
No, not from me.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Tanushree, Rima, Soumya, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Any questions here?
Bhagwati, in many in bigger organization, it's still fine. But I've worked in smaller companies and it was into call center business and where it's more of a proprietor controlled organization, So when you are asked to undertake this exercise, many a times, even from the topmost level, even the CEO, what comes is not the they may be giving a standard kind of definitions, which may, or they may not want you to get too much into the inner side of the business or their. So it becomes very difficult, there may be standard answers to that, or for the heck of it, they'll provide some competencies or some definition or some words to it, put some words to it. But then that may not be the original picture, and beyond a point, it really becomes very difficult to drive in or get to the real picture. Then you are supposed to, as a HR person, supposed to go about the exercise also. Then how do you go about it?
Yeah, so the question really is setting expectations right, Rajshri. I did work in the BPOs. Even in the largest BPO, which I actually worked in, they were very skeptical because they feel that this is a complete waste of time. After the entire exercise, there was one company who said that when they had been acquired by another company or there was a big change. So we said we did all the potential assessment. We have the list of people who were to be potential successors. I don't see them there. How did you go about this exercise? They said, no, we looked at which box is open and we put a head into that. That's it. Mm-hmm. So the point is that it's about, expectation setting. Are they expecting you to give a competency framework, or are they expecting you to just state some expectations from our leaders? So that's important, right? So it's also important to enroll them it's an education. Let's be fair to them. Even the best of the HR people, trust me, don't know what advantage this can give, or even look at it as something that, I'm not very sure how much it would, it's basically you're weighing between the time and investment that you want to do and the outcome, the return that you can get. These are long-term gestation times type of frameworks, right? Unless there is a belief, I don't think you should embark into it. Now, how to get that belief? Your question is, if I read you through saying, how do I get that belief in them? Because they expect, but they are not enrolled. So your problem statement is very clear. You need to enroll them. You need to enroll them in the process. That's your influencing abilities that you need to be using. Now, the question really is, why do we want to do? So my strategy, there is always a pushback. And, when you want to really do something, that it's really helpful for the company and you really want to do it, So you need to be using the right people to be your ambassadors. I've at least used, and if a direct influence doesn't work, I always go through, I went into a talent management framework only after, in fact, the competency framework itself, it took about 4 months for me to find the right opportunity. And it was with the CEO, MD of the company that I found the right opportunity when he actually came back and started talking about, if you're part of business reviews, Rajshri, if you're part of business reviews, that's the that's the best place where you start gathering information of inefficiencies. Mm-hmm. Right? Every month, I'm sure every week, every month, you're part of those, if you're heading HR or whatever, you are part of those meetings. I'm sure there are inefficiencies in the system, and that's why you want to build in, right? Or let me put it the other way, great company, no inefficiencies. There is a desire, or there is an ambition around in growth of the company. So there are only two ways, right? Either there is an ambition or there is inefficiency. You have to identify and pick them up and say, look, you know what? We need to build this ability in them. Don't use the word competency at all. It will not get into, they will start looking at it as something which requires huge investment. Say we need to build in these capabilities in our people, then we can overcome these inefficiencies. Or the other way is when you're looking at say ambition, we need to create this ambition that you have in people. This is your influencing tactics. You go there and say, you need to create this ambition in our people. You know what? How do we get them to demonstrate the kind of ambition and energy that you are showing in every person, every leader that we have? How do you think we can do that? I have a suggestion. So give this description. Start putting that. In a sense, you're actually educating him on competencies, him or her on the competencies. If you tell them, I'm going to do a fancy competency framework, it's on low priority because there's so many other compelling things on their mind, right? So you need to get them to a point where you actually say, and exactly, there will come a point where they will say, oh, great, what is this? Say, what, I just want 15 minutes, half an hour of yours. Take that time of that person, whoever is the decision maker at some point in time, and say, what, I came across something like this. And I guess this is what we are looking at. We should be looking at. I know we might not be doing it, but I thought I should share with you as a thinking. We can discuss it about it later. Push these architectures, push these thinkings to them and leave it. Don't push that I'm going to do it. right? So it's important to understand what are those and how you actually go. So either, to your question is either you pick up from the reviews, either the ambition or the challenges that they are having. And say we need to build abilities. Build competencies are nothing but, knowledge, skills, and abilities. That's it, right? Yeah. So if we can keep it simple, not giving the consult.
I think help.
Absolutely, you have to keep it very simple.
And complex terms.
Not required. Yeah, not required. You don't have to give. Jargons are nice for us. That's what I said. If you want to do it just to be a place on great places to work, you give these terminologies to to him. He will do it. But I think I know him very well, so just telling it. But then I think it's important to put it simple in the words they understand. Any other questions? So let's take a quick bio break. And what I wanted to do, I'll just for the interest of the group, I would want, Anupama has actually created the group breakout rooms. So when you come back from the break, just take these, I want you to build this, right? So we would take, these questions. So first thing, what you're going to be doing is there would be 3 groups. All the participants will be divided into 3 groups. You'll have your breakout rooms. You'll be assigned to those breakout rooms. Anupama will let us know. In the next, we have about an hour and a half. It's 12:48, 12:50, almost 1. We have another 1 hour. If we can do an exercise of what are, each group will be coming up with, a kind of input, right? Very quickly, the 3-4 of you who are sitting or 5 of you sitting, put in some kind of business enablers. Where is business? Take a hypothetical business or take your own business. One of you can take the lead and say, I'm going to give the business numbers. Take a hypothetical number. Also discuss what could be the business enablers. Don't spend much time on that. But then start going and saying, if we have to move from here to here, what are, same questions. And come up with what are the success factors, come up with behaviors like these statements. So the first 20 minutes, you're actually going to write these statements. What are those behaviors across levels that could help business success, right? If you can actually come up with that, then the next step you're going to do is you're going to come back with, like you have interviewed and you have got these inputs. So it need not be an exhaustive list of inputs. It could be any of them. So, but then the challenge here is one of the person in the group needs to be giving the business enabler, the business where it's need to be going, need to define the business statement and give the business enabler. And then the rest of you can actually start discussing and saying to move the business to whatever we want, what are the behaviors that will help us get there? You want to take a screenshot of this, you can take. I'll just move to this. Take a screenshot of this, please. It'll help you because I think you don't have this as a questionnaire. Answer these questions, discuss and answer these questions among yourselves. Yeah. Shall I move on to the next one? Come up with something like these, not necessarily saying leading and developing, but all the answers like these. Yeah. You can skip this.
Bhagwati, I've got a suggestion. If I can share so with the group.
Sure, please.
I think this particular exercise, can we cover the whatever the topics are there today, okay? And this particular exercise, can we take it separately? We can have the groups, but instead of taking it as part of this session, can we take it separately and then make it happen and share it in the next Sunday, the next time when we have the session? Just a thought. This is just a thought because I feel an hour will be
too less. So why don't we do something? See, since we have planned for this, in fact, honestly, I haven't planned for the next session because we wanted to get into doing an exercise like this and then getting into institutionalizing mode next week, right? because so what we can do, Venkat, I mean, I got your point right. What we can do is let the group form, start discussing. I know within 1 hour you cannot come in, but to whatever you can come in, right? We'll take 45 minutes. We'll take 45 minutes for the group to discuss.
Okay.
Discuss to whatever you came up with. Just present that, and then the next part of the exercise you can do and come back by next Sunday.
Okay.
Because that will actually give alignment to the group also, right? You also know what more you're supposed to be doing, talking to each other. You can share your numbers, you can share your mail IDs, or you can get into your own Zoom call quickly and then, share your ideas and come up.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think breaking that ice and getting together is important.
Fine. Absolutely.
So what you could do is, sorry, again, I lost it.
Ma'am, would you like to give us a common business enabler so that it becomes easier for all of us to be like, then probably brainstorming sessions would be more intense. I mean, I don't know, just my thought.
Okay.
Like, for example, if my own company, we wish to, increase our sales force. Something like that. I don't know. Something that's common to all of us, all the three groups.
So let's take this itself.
Lavanya, I've got a difference of view over here. Let it be different for each of the three teams, groups. Let it be different. Let us have different themes on which we'll.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever you want to say.
So what happens?
Because what will happen if we go to have a common one? We don't know whether it may. Because guys are from different industries over here,
right.
so it will be difficult. So perhaps we may take it something related to insurance, but some other person may not be able to think through in terms of insurance business and all that.
Yeah, that's right.
So also we'll have a bigger horizon to ponder over, think over, and do the brainstorming. So let's have the different.
Fine, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that's okay. I think that's what we want, because if I feed in, then it becomes a very forced exercise. It won't really open up.
Fine. That's fine. We'll have different themes. Yeah, fine.
Okay. So we take a quick bio break. Maybe we come back, and then meanwhile, Anupama, can you help in? You've already sent the groups to the people?
No, it's there in the breakout room. If you see, there are 3 rooms assigned. Okay. In breakout room.
You need to help them to see how they go to their breakout rooms, who's there in which breakout room. They need to move to the breakout room, right?
Right.
So you need to assign them to the breakout room.
Okay.
And can you just explain them how they go? So when you come back from the break, what I would encourage, look at, Anupama is going to give you that how you get into the breakout room. I will keep jumping into the breakout rooms. So you will go and discuss among the group, what is make your business target, come up with your business enabler, and then start identifying, start writing down.
Excel sheet कहाँ है? इसमें कैसे मैं देखूँ? उसको मिनिमाइज करके कहाँ पे है?
Anupama, you need to keep on mute.
So let me give it a little while Anupama is doing that. Let me just give a quick task instructions here. The group is going to come up with a statement of their business target, going to come up with the enablers. It could be even 2 enablers is okay, 2, 3, 4, whatever you can come up with. And if you can come up with enablers and then say why you think these enablers, whatever you gave, are enablers. For today, that is fine, because there is an alignment in thinking why these are our business enablers. If the business is in growth mode, is the business in stability mode, is the business in recovery mode, you can just take these 3. Out of these 3, you pick up 1, right? We are in stability, because what you expect in stability mode, and also what we want to see that. So each team you can take up whatever you want. It doesn't matter. There are 3 groups. You can take up whatever from the three and start thinking about it. What could be our enablers? And then start thinking about or discussing about what are those behavioral indicators that will be supportive to enable business. That's it. So if you can done with that, then you can go back for today. If you can come back and present, I think that's good. The details you can then, do your own role play, discuss among yourself during the week, come back and then present the way you think you are ready with.
Fine.
Yeah.
So we need to know the groups now.
Yeah.
Groups and the members. Yeah.
Yes.
Members.
Yes. So we take a quick bio break and come back.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, Anupama, we can hear you.
So there are 3 breakout rooms. In breakout room 1, we have Gitika Bakshi, Lavanya, and Sorry. Sorry, are you there? Shauri? Sorry?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
So breakout room has 3 persons, Gitika, Lavanya, and Shauri. And Debashri, are you there? Debashri? Okay, so Debashri is not there. So we have 3 in breakout room 1. In breakout room 2, we have Aarti, Rajeshri, Tanushri, and Venkateshwarlu. All 4 are in breakout room 2. And in breakout room 3, we have Arshala, Naresh, Tyagi, Soumya, Ramachandra, and Venkat Rao. 4. So 4 each in room 2 and room 3, and 3 in breakout 1. Anybody else who is left out? I think all are covered now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of them. Okay. So I'm opening the room for all. Right. All these rooms have been opened. Now you can join. Open.
Hi, Mr. Johari.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Hi.
Anybody else joining us? I think one more person.
One more person is expected. Hopefully, we will do something with this within this half an hour or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4. We have one.
That's
So, Tanushree,
Anupama.
That is a concern. Yeah.
who is the
Anupama,
fourth?
we have one more joining in, or should we start? 3 of us.
Can you hear us?
Anupama, are you there?
Joined. Rajshri, you have joined. Tanushri has joined. Venkateshwarlu has joined. Aarti is yet to join.
Okay, Aarti is
Huh.
to join.
Wait actually for another 2 minutes. Then we will start.
Yeah, we are waiting for Aarti to join in.
Okay.
Then we plan.
Yeah, so I'll just tell Aarti to join. I think she's still seen in the other room.
Aarti has to join Soumya and Venkat Rao. Okay, Soumya will not be able to join as she is in the office. So in breakout room 3, Arsala has joined, Naresh has joined, Venkat Rao has to join in 3. And in group 1, Gitika has to join, and Aarti in group 2. So Aarti, Gitika and Venkat.
So our group is complete as of now.
Huh.
Okay, I see.
So
You're on mute, Bhagwat.
We 3 are there actually.
Bhagwat is also there.
Unmute, please.
Yeah, I'll be moving in and out to the rooms. So I will not disturb you guys. I'll just observe.
Okay.
You can go ahead.
So actually, the way what we are actually want to do is the how business we can take it a specific role model business. So how it can grow and what are the things we require for that actually that we need to do.
So should we first identify ourselves in which industry, for which industry, align ourselves to a particular industry that will make more sense when defining these?
That's true. That's true.
So like if suppose, how about auto industry, if we take?
Yeah, can take it auto industry.
We are working for auto industry, which is in a recession mode. What do you think, Venkati?
We can take it automobile.
No, we can
In
take
automobile
it.
industry.
Tanushree, yeah,
Yeah, so what I think that automobile industry is fine, but in the recession mode, is this the right
I don't
time
think
to
it is a recession mode because you can see Maruti has they have sold it out.
Hello. Hello. Arsala, Naresh.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Naresh, hi, Venkat here.
How are you, Venkat?
I'm doing fine, thanks. How about you?
Good.
Great. Ursula, are you there? So that we can quickly get going here. So I want to finish it off as early as possible. Okay, then we may tend to forget. So that's why whatever learnings were there, we'll quickly
tend to forget, and it's altogether a new thing to do, actually.
Yeah, I know. Ursula?
Ursula, she hasn't come back, I think.
Then I saw the other one is, I think, Anupama. So I don't know, Anupama is also part of the.
She must be only monitoring. She'll not.
So three groups.
Only 3
9.
people. Yeah.
So how many participants were there? I really did not see.
I think there were total of 11 participants.
So one was the speaker, another one was Anupama herself. Yeah.
And initially I was logged in from 2
Venkat, you are in group room 3, so you are the lead for this room. Okay, so you are going to drive the.
Okay, fine.
And in breakout room 1, Gitika will do. I'm Anupama here.
Yeah, fine, Anupama. Okay, so we are how many? 9 participants, Anupama, overall?
There are some are missing. Soumya won't be there. She's in the office.
Some of the groups have got 4 also.
So we can shift. We can shift one of them.
Okay.
You have Ursula, Naresh, and Venkat. 3.
We are 3.
So 3 in each group are there.
Yeah.
ठीक.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So Naresh, and if we have Ursula also, then we can get going. I'm just waiting for Ursula.
Yeah, we can wait there for a while.
Hi Naresh. Hi Venkat.
Yeah, Ursula, hi. So you guys don't mind coming on the video?
The problem is that my bandwidth is a little issue, which is why I don't put on my video. So it will just spoil the time, and that's the reason why.
Okay.
Venkat, for me, issue is that my laptop doesn't have the
camera.
It's not working.
So fine.
I can log in from my mobile.
No, not an issue. No issues. I thought only thing is perhaps if you have face to face, it's better. That's okay. No props.
Yeah.
So then in that case, even I will not come on the video. I'll also. Okay, we'll have a quick introduction and then we'll get going. So my name is Venkat, as you can see on the on your laptop, and I'm working as AVP HR for a company called Shriram Life Insurance. We are based out of Hyderabad.
Great.
Okay. Good. And I've got around 25 years of experience in HR. Okay, all through I've been a HR professional, so that is that's about me. I've handled a gamut of I think all the aspects of HR except for unions, all the other things. So it's more like a generalist role all throughout that I've lived through my career, like not a specialist. So I'm not one of the performance management or a competency specialist or something on those lines. But yeah, I have a fair idea of all the aspects of the gamut of HR sub-functions which are there. Okay?
Great.
Right. Yeah, Naresh or Ursula, one of you can, you want to introduce?
Yeah, sure. Naresh, should I go ahead?
Yeah, please go ahead.
All right. So I am actually associated with a not-for-profit organization, St. Jude's India Childcare Centers. And I'm heading the HR function here. All in all, I have around 10 years of experience, been into HR from the beginning of my career. And currently, we are sort of in a transition phase in our organization, wherein we are planning to do a lot of succession planning within the organization. And the reason to join this course was majorly for that. So I am also handling generalist profile from the beginning of my career. So that's all about me.
So all through 10 years, you have been into HR only?
Yes, been into HR, been into generalist, and the industries that I've worked on is in retail and not-for-profit. So I actually left my corporate job to join into a not-for-profit sector.
Mm-hmm.
So and I wish to continue my career in this sector itself.
So not-so-profit actually means NGO, is that?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yes.
okay. So it's also called not-so-profit. I did not know this.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a learning for me. Anyway, great.
Right.
Fine. And you're based out of which place?
Bombay.
Oh, okay. Great. Fine. Yeah, Mr. Tyagi, Naresh.
I'm Naresh, and I'm based out of Pune. And prior to this corporate world, I was associated with the defense services. I was in Air Force for 20 years, and then I moved out, and for last 13 years, I'm with Mahale Anand Thermal Systems. So at Mahale Anand Thermal System, I'm right now I'm heading HR, IR, not HR, IR, plant operations, administration, legal and compliance, etc. So I've been really, listening, and we kept on discussing a lot of things in our organization, this competency building, and then we are lacking these competencies, and I've seen that a lot of people have worked with either or some model, and then that issue or that initiative, is dried up in next 3 months, 6 months, or maximum 1 year. So I thought, let me also understand that, because exactly what we're discussing, the implementation phase, the buying from the top management and all those things, those things were the derailing factors when we saw in our organization that such a kind of thing had never moved upon. We had a KRA for 5 years in our top management KRAs, and specifically for HR, white collar productivity. And I mean, every year we reviewed it, and nothing was done on that. So that is where I was just trying to understand that what it is competency building and how to go about it, and that's how I joined this
session, this training program.
Yeah, this training program.
Great.
And I led up, since I am from manufacturing, so my profile is into all, as I said, that IR, etc. So all union management, all administration, entire administration, then plant HR operation. I'm also, it's kind of a generalistic profile, nothing specialist, neither the talent management nor anything, but it's completely each part of everything.
Fine.
So that's how it is.
Great. So what we'll do is, so we'll come up with that vision statement first of all. How do we go about this? This presentation which Bhagwati was referring to today.
Yes.
I don't think this has been shared by the Meritt team. I'm not sure whether you guys have got it.
No, not this one.
Yeah. We got in the earlier also they had sent us some pre-session material.
But then those were the ones that we referred for the assignments itself.
Yeah. So this particular presentation not there. I don't know whether you guys could manage to get take the screenshots when Bhagwati was taking us through.
I have some screenshots I have taken.
Okay. So what we'll do is, should I take up the role of the CEO, MD CEO? I'm just asking you guys so that you can put the questions to me, and then I can respond to the questions. But before that, I think we need. So is that okay? Can I take up the CEO role and you guys put up the? I'll also pitch in. I'll also pitch in. That's not a problem. Okay.
No, that's correct.
The other thing is, but before that, we need to understand how do we, our company, should we have it a startup thing or one which is just moved from the startup to the growth phase?
I will speak to her.
Hello.
I'm sorry for the disturbance. I'm really sorry, Mr. Venkat. Please go ahead. I'm all with you.
No, I couldn't. So who's someone new has joined?
Soumya.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, Soumya. Okay. Fine, Soumya.
Yeah.
So, so we have to just decide whether a startup company or a growth, or we are into the stabilizing mode. So, what should we take it up as? To make things easy, I think startup would be a better thing. Yeah, either of the things, not a problem, or even a company which is in the growth phase.
Venkat, I completely agree, since this is a startup for us also, how to get into competency building. So our business can also be a startup. Okay.
So we'll keep the company name also Startup Company Private Limited.
That is
okay. So you can, you guys can then start asking me the questions. 1 second. We can have this as Startup Company Private Limited. And what should we, what business?
Oh God, it sounds so easy, but when you actually do it, words don't come, right?
Moving forward.
Okay, so what next? Under this enabler, what key competency indicators we can put?
So one is like, we need to refer this structure, competency architecture, where we need to mention the behavioral competency and competency theme also, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
where would this fostering partnership would fall? Would that fall in this category? Because in business
can be, I think, that can be as a business strategy. We can have that as one of the fostering partnership.
Right.
So that will be as a what?
Now the screenshot that she showed for one of the organization, ma'am had positive outcomes. But again, it sounds like a ma'am.
So these were like business enablers, the 4 she had taken, aligning to vision, fostering partnership, and delivering positive outcomes. So are we supposed to take any one of these and then work it out, or we can take any?
Can take it any
business enablers. These were the business
we have
enablers.
We have to work in the lines of asking questions, which is going to support the business enablers. That's what my understanding is. I might be wrong.
Yeah, even the same understanding I also have. Like, we need to start understanding the success factors and the challenges, and then that, because we will derive what is the key competency.
She had mentioned that the behavioral indicators that will support it. So I think we can start with key competency indicators for R&D and innovation. Should we go that way?
If we go by the step 1, that is scoping and input, and that happens through question selection, and then we can find the competency indicators among those.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly. I'm
Tanushree?
in the same line, actually, the same understanding I have. So what I have a doubt in the business enablers, are we correct here? Because mostly, like in our organization, when we have done this competency, we have always first figure out what is our vision in company. Okay. First thing we have done, then one, how many years we will be achieving, like with the total roadmap we have done, and then we try to connect with link with our values, and then we have go ahead. It's a long process was there, but that's what I was thinking, whether we are in the right correct way we are doing it or not. See, innovation and R&D or new technology is the part business, right? But it's a business enabler for the company. That was I was thinking.
Right.
Whether we are correct in there or not.
So my understanding
so
of this exercise,
like it's a
yeah.
See, you cannot derive a business behavioral competency from this, that the new knowledges and all. I don't know.
Behavioral always, it is linked with the individual. Where the leaders
So this behavioral competency, Tanushree, my understanding is in terms of the delivery, not in terms of psycho behavior. Yeah. So if I say behavioral competency, I display or if I say I'm cooperative employee, then that means I actually cooperate with the other employees, and that's my behavior there in terms of work.
Right. So here, I think it's a what we need to see the company or the picture. Like it's not about the individual person. What is the culture basically? How we are reacting with business. That's it. That's what we need to capture here.
Yeah. So once we populate, please carry on.
No, you said I already finished. Yeah.
I was saying that once we are able to find the competency indicators, and these indicators will be percolated down to different levels.
That organization runs assessment centers for them. So we start with designing the questionnaire for executive leadership first.
Can you go to the first sheet? Load. Adaptation to new technology, business strategy. Yeah. That's right. You use a very nice terminology for that, not customer satisfaction. Ask her. And so in customer focus, as of now, we can use it for customer focus. Are we aligned?
Yeah, I think, yeah. Customer focus.
And then under this, we can ask, sir, you said internal and external understanding of internal and external customers.
Basically, I think it's the customer satisfaction is all about for the automobile industry. Yeah. Then
what customer requires, that we have to, like the executive level, they focus on what are the customers' expectations. And the timeline, which
also here should we take into account competitor strategy? Will that help?
yes, we can take it.
Yeah.
Because what's the competitor working on, what technology wise, how advanced?
It's a benchmarking, let's say, benchmarking with the competitors.
Benchmarking with the industry peers, should we say, instead of competitor?
Yeah, benchmarking, yeah, with the market maybe.
Growth to reach to 3,000 crore business. You are also looking forward for certain business aggregators or some other method wherein the partnership can be made and your business can grow. And at the same time, you are also open for some innovative idea or some innovative thinking which can create new products into your business portfolio, which can enable the growth. Yeah. So these are the three things which as a business strategy we find, or as a business plan, we find it that you are expecting to be covered in the competencies or in future.
Fine. Yeah.
Not in competencies.
Fine.
So with going ahead with the same thing, since we are right now a 1,000 crore company, and I believe that we have a lot of inbuilt processes and business strategy which has taken us from 0 to 1,000 crore. So if we need to move from 1,000 to 3,000 crore, so what are the kind of or in fact from 0 to 1,000 crores, what are the kind of challenge we have faced actually, which if we would have addressed earlier, we would have been much better, or we would have grown much faster. So in your narrative, I would be happy to understand that from 0 to 1,000 crores, what kind of challenge you have faced and what kind of challenge you see in future if we have to move from 1,000 to 3,000 crore, keeping view of your existing organization, that how what sort of people you have got it, and how what challenge you will face it, that how they are going to enable it. Yes.
Fine. So we'll just refer to that slide wherein Bhagwati had referred during the presentation, designing the questionnaire, that executive leadership management teams and all that particular slide. If you have taken the screenshot of that. So next to business plan is the point is on the current challenges. Okay.
Yes.
So I would say the current challenges which I have is one is we don't have much of brand name in the market. Okay. So branding is something which is something which we need to look into. I see. We as a company, we need to be reach out to people so that more people are aware of us. Okay. My second point is there are already, so since I told you there are 20 companies, the other challenges, it will be, I see that it will be a challenge for us to, so we are in terms of, so we may be ranked at 15th position as of now in the industry. So how do we move forward? At least I want to break into the top 7 companies by 2025. And so reaching out to the
themes you will get to later. First, you have to ask what all behaviors are important or required for wherever target you are doing, right? So you'll only keep taking inputs now. When you get a complete list of inputs, then you can say what are those inputs that are talking about having a thorough knowledge or understanding of technical requirements, okay, or is abreast about the innovations happening in the, so it comes under a theme of innovation, or because new technologies you're talking about, so that theme, and then the behaviors can get into there. So don't get into themes now, get into core behaviors. Simple core demonstratable behaviors, and don't get saying, get too much into cliches, like it has to be a theme, it has to be a competency. No, just say we want people to demonstrate these behaviors or these abilities so that, they can deliver to what is expected. And mind you, you will not be going into technicalities of the job. You're going to go into managerial leadership, those kind of thinking. Okay.
So, ma'am, if I want to focus more on my IT infrastructure and all that, so that is what, then I call it innovation, or I just call it adaptability to, vigorous IT infrastructure?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So which theme it gets into, adapting. Does it get into innovation? Does it get into creativity? Does it get into alignment? Does it get into change? Right? Adaptability is all about change management, right? So, and then coming up with new things and adaptability. So it has two ways to look at it. So that's how actually second level pay, when you come up with some of these words, we'll push you and ask you those questions, right?
Just I mentioned technology adoption, technology as a key business enabler today for us, our industry, where we are driving entire education through technology, unlike conventional. So it is one big business enabler. A lot of online programs are being thought of to capture the opportunities that are up, and hence this becomes one key business
enabler. Absolutely. Now, if technology is a key business enabler, what are those competencies or attitudes that your people need to be having? Adaptability, understanding, learning curve has to be very high, right? Shifting from conventional methods to, is what you're talking about. So just write like that only.
Fine.
So what happens there is, under this, for a very senior leadership, they would need to be a visionary to moving to new ways of business execution. Then to a level of a person who's into mid-management and lower would be a thorough knowledge and adaptability to new technologies and new methods of work. They just need to adapt, right? But the thinking will happen somewhere else. Now, then we will see whether it's what are those behaviors. Some of these behaviors which will be aligned to a theme under strategic thinking. So some small amount of strategic thinking is required even at frontline people, right? But then what strategic thinking will mean to an executive leadership, right? How the entire education landscape is changing. So should be a visionary be able to give that landscape. That's the behavior that you can expect at senior level, right?
Yes. For instance, the senior manager, director levels, they invested heavily in each classroom, installing huge screens, LED screens, and what we call digital classroom infrastructure.
Right.
And then imparted certain level of training to all the faculty members in groups to help them gain expertise, which promotes facilitation with the students.
Understood.
So top level focused on financial goals and getting budgets for implementing this technical innovation into the classroom. And
so what they need is, you're really saying, a great financial acumen and understanding, driving performance from profitability and technology angle.
Yes.
Those kind of things. But if you look at the people at the front line, it will be very slightly different, right? So that's how you can take an area of what you're talking about, business enabler, and say what would be the role of a senior person, leadership person, and mid-management, and say a junior frontline person. how they can align to it, what behavior of these people will ensure that this business enabler is protected, is fostered. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. It's going good. Go ahead. I'll just leave you guys. I'll go into the other room. Yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, actually, that makes sense. She made it easier for us.
I know. It's just going into too much nitty-gritties.
Yeah. It sounds good then. Business enabler, just put all your inputs under that umbrella, just break it down to senior, mid, junior, and tell what their behaviors are. Perfect.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just revisiting my Word doc. Okay, so in that case, I'm now putting innovation / adapting to technology. Okay, so or should I just put innovation as this one, enabler, and putting, no, I think it makes sense to put them both in the same bucket, no, Geetika?
Yeah. I think we should have it as a separate.
Yeah.
Second one maybe she said no, change to new.
So that change comes under adaptation, no?
So you're saying different bucket?
It's fine, adaptation and change totally.
Okay. So building adequate infrastructure, building in-house technical knowledge, then facilitating the same to this one. So what senior management's role is? One is change management and execution. And mid-level would be adaptability, and both mid-level and junior level adaptability only. Geetika, any other point here?
I was thinking that what about, important decisions that we make in an organization? Because if we go on decisions, then everything can go haywire, no?
Yeah, she mentioned about financial acumen, how much is the investment, and decisions pertaining to finance could be one. It could indicate that for the top level.
Correct. So, I mean, the top level takes decisions on various aspects, like finances.
So we have the industry, we know the growth target 30%. We need to go by, we have mission and vision statement ready. Enablers we have found. Now,
so now key competency indicators. First, we can we first go to the questionnaire, and here we have to keep in mind that we are saying stability 70% and growth 30%, or we want to change it to 50-50. That the present mode in which the company is 50%, it's already in the stability mode, and 50% we are looking at as growth, because the kind of vision we are saying
it is
number one, or we want to make it 100% growth driven organization. Because we are not saying that we may want to maintain our current status of our current ranking in the industry. We want to go to number one, which is quite an aggressive statement. So should we go for 100% growth mode the company is in?
So if we say that we are somewhere around 70%, that means we are already known brand in the market.
Stable means actually what we say that like now we are focused on current scenario only. We want to maintain the same.
70%.
Growth
so
means
not,
growth means we want
aggressive,
to beat the other. Aggressive. We want to beat the competitors also.
Yeah. So when we are saying number one, then I think if not more than 50%, it should be at least 50%. No? Then only it will show that aggressiveness for growth and for to be one.
We can make it 50-50. We can make it 50-50.
What say, Aarti?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. And Shall we work out for first the key competency indicators and then put it into the questionnaire framework for each level?
Yeah.
Will that work out better?
Yeah.
So for the keeping in mind innovation, R&D, new technology, what key competency indicators? We can refer to her grid and we get some examples from there.
So here I'm here. Good going. I think your thinking is good in terms of business at the first layer. So what you need to now go and not getting stuck in terminology or things, just say if you're driving to 50%, right? What are those factors that you want to see in your senior leaders, mid-management and junior? So you can talk about it. What are the key factors, right? For growth and even stabilization, both. For growth, you need a lot of more thinking into new segment thinking, right? Things like that, right? Expansions, both organic, inorganic growth. You talk about that. Stabilization means process alignment, efficiencies, driving quality, things like that. So keep writing things like that. Then if these are things that we are supposed to be doing, what are those abilities that we need in leaders? So if you take about, now when you're talking about stability, when you're talking about growth, is there innovation required? Is there an alignment? We're talking about stability. That means you have to retain customers. So what around customers that you expect the people to be doing, right? What around financials that you need people to be doing? What around performance that you want them? What do you want them to deliver? While they deliver, ensure that delivery is stable, they also grow, right? So growth and stability goes together, what it is, because they have to do both. How do you expect? What do you expect from them?
Like, sorry.
Yeah, so you can talk around, strategic thinking, what it should be. If there's growth and stability, there is dual role that each leader would be playing, right? And then, strategic thinking, what does it mean to senior, your senior leadership, executive leadership? What strategic thinking is required? They need to be clear about growth. They need to be clear about, which markets they are going in. All of those you can actually put in as it comes to your mind. So around customers, around finances, around business, numbers, around processes, you can actually think from that angle also.
N number of points we can put it, no?
Yeah. Because see, the last one is competency indicators. So what we're saying is first fix your business goal and your enablers, how you think. That's the strategic thinking of your leaders. Now they have given you inputs. Now you are the person who's actually going to come up with the competency indicators. So you're going to ask them, right? What do you think? How can we achieve 50% growth? How are leaders supposed to be behaving? They have to be aggressive. They have to be going and saying, while they stabilize, they also needs to drive your NPS, net promoter scores, they need to be driving. So an understanding and that urge to drive new business, organic growth, inorganic growth. So what it means to the junior level, a complete understanding of what organic and inorganic growth means, right? They need to understand the math behind the metrics. Whereas at senior leadership level, they need to be really strategizing and defining the metrics clearly so that it's understood by their team members. So it actually spans like that. Start thinking like from that angle. No problem.
So can we go about considering balance scorecard here if we have taken the industry and the target of 30%, 50% growth? Because
so instead of writing balance scorecard, you can always write in bracket. What are you expecting is drive performance aligned to the strategic goal, right? That's the description. Drive performance or define performance indicators very clearly. Who defines? The executive leadership. Then driving is with the middle management. Then actually aligning to those targets is what, and performing, right, is the lower level, right? It's the frontline managers. You can think like that. Absolutely right. We want to put in bracket as balance scorecard is a tool. Whichever tool you use, that's technical. But what you want them to drive as leaders? You want them to drive performance and alignment to both, how they balance between stability and growth. So they have a complete understanding of the balancing act. That is demonstrating. That's what you're asking me, right? Instead of saying a balance scorecard, what behavior they need to drive is balancing between stability and growth. That's the attitude that you want in every person. Now, what does it mean to a president? What does it mean to a junior management? That you have to think. Okay? Because balance scorecard is a tool. Then HR guys will take out when they're looking at functional. They look, okay, do you want an MBO? Do you want a KPAs? Do you want a balance scorecard? That's the tool that you're going to use. Understood?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Think about it. It's okay. Here there are no right or wrong answers. We're trying to learn the process. Okay. So yeah, so it's 150, maybe in the next 5 minutes, you need to get back to, by 2, we'll get back to the main room. Okay,
sure.
To whatever extent you're done, because we said we're going to work on that and come back again the next Sunday, we can again check out.
Can you see our enabler?
Yeah, I can see your Excel sheet, yes. I saw your Excel sheet, yeah.
So it looks fine so far, so good as of now.
Well, business enablers, yeah. So we will, once we have, the business enablers, you're looking at adaptation to new technology, business strategy, R&D, innovation. They're fine. I mean, I think they're fine for now. They'll actually undergo change after you're done with your competency indicators, because that's when you go back again after.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are you talking about? You're talking adaptation to new technology means what? It's all about alignment, right? Under alignment, you have alignment to process, or alignment to technology, adaptation, and all of those stuff. It actually comes down. It's okay. Perfectly fine. Put it the way you want it, because this is how actually the CEO will say. He say, we want new technology, we want new strategy, we want R&D innovation, I'm going to go in. So you can also put a column of remarks there. If you put column of remarks, then it's easier for you to go and use it as a reference. Put a column of remarks where whatever you're discussing, you just keep typing there. So you know where your thinking is coming from. And if we have to reword that after we are done with the key indicators, then we can always reword them. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Leave this room. So you guys need to have a hard stop at 2. You need to come back.
Challenges also, we should write down the challenges, jot down the challenges also.
Indicators?
No, challenges overcome. So what behavior? Write down the challenges, then you will have the answers to your actual thing. What competency we need to have to overcome that. Yeah, write down the challenges. Absolutely. So you need to go like the interview process, you guys. Like first is one of you play the role of the CEO and say this is what it is. So you're interviewing a COO, this is what it is. So all of them gave you inputs on business and what could drive the business and what could enable the business. Then you go back and talk to the role incumbents and say, okay, now if this is what will enable business, what are the behaviors that we can expect? We need to expect leaders to be demonstrating. Then you go to the role incumbent and say, you are a leader. Do you think that this is enough, what it is? So all these form part of your inputs to come up with the behavioral indicator themes. So they're talking about leadership, they're talking about customer, they're talking about collaboration, they might be talking about delivery, they might be talking strategic thinking, they might be talking about any of these, right? Go ahead, no problem. You will get there. You will get there. This is the first time you're doing, you will get there.
So if I am the COO, I will talk about the culture of learning, and I will encourage the fostering partnership.
Yeah.
Because fostering partnership and culture of learning would always help me sustain the growth and
put it up. Put it up. Just put it up. Don't lose any of your thinking. Whatever thinking is coming, you have to just keep putting it there. You can change the position of those cells. You can change the text up, down, whatever we can do that. This is the first time that you're taking inputs. So don't lose any inputs in thinking. Yeah?
Learning culture and
take it actually
Now, what do you
maximize
mean by
profit.
fostering partnerships? Yeah. So fostering partnerships, what do you mean? Explain. So you have to explain, if you can explain for yourself what it means. So fostering partnership. Okay. So how can I really see demonstrable behaviors that, what are those behaviors that you can say that, yes, in my company, we foster partnership? When will you say that? When you see people doing certain things, right? So you're going to actually write what you want to see them doing.
We value the existing partners, so provide like timely payments to the like channel partners.
Write it next to. So you take, say, fostering partnership, write all that under that, and under that, in the sense, maybe you want to just use the other columns or rows around that so that you can link them. Learning environment. What do you mean? What do you want? Explain that.
Even in partnership, when you talk about the internal partners, which is different departments, and without their collaboration, you cannot really function. So
exactly.
The service agreement.
Yeah, right. Collaboration. You want to foster a collaborative environment, cross-departmental functional collaboration. So then you write whatever's coming to your mind, then you can always expand. You can always say, okay, if there's something missing, then we can always fill in. But yeah, okay. All right, good. Good going.
Oh my God, the moment I become CEO, I'm thinking so big things.
That's nice.
Maximize the profit. Yeah. Outsourcing. Yeah, no, left side. You should write left side, on left side. Left. No, below that. Yes. Maximize the profit.
Hello?
Collaboration with the interdepartment, cross departments, what do you say?
On left side,
interdepartment collaboration.
Collaboration with internal partners, vis-a-vis
internal stakeholders.
Which room should I put? Oh. At 2 o'clock, okay.
And maximize profit, below maximize profit.
I sound like
below.
Okay.
Actually,
yeah.
Below maximize profit.
Yeah.
Outsourcing. Outsourcing.
Okay. So 2 o'clock we'll ask them to close and come back to the rooms, huh?
Outsourcing and
outsourcing. You want to specify further outsourcing non-profit.
No. Product outsourcing, because if you do everything internally, the cost will go high. If we actually outsource the what we call that, the material.
Product outsourcing.
We can say that suppose what we can say that the steering, the wheels, that which actually we are giving to the other companies.
Accessories,
outsourcing accessories.
Because the whole of product will be the core of this. No?
Venkat sir, how we can maximize profit by process?
The ancillary
process
industries.
Of manufacturing.
Yeah, the ancillary industries. Yeah, the ancillary industry, they would do the rest of the things so that we can save time and we can give that target that this particular product should be given with a good quality with a specific price. So by that we can take the profit and we can meet the timeline and we can maintain the quality.
And by all major auto industry companies do that. They outsource the ancillary.
Through good manufacturing practice.
And do we want to mention servicing also? Servicing after sales service outsourcing?
Yes. Customer delight and customer expectation. Meeting the customer delight and customer satisfaction. After sales section, you can put it on the left side and right side we can. That you should take it actually on the left side.
What?
Customer delight. Yeah, you can take it actually customer delight and customer satisfaction.
I think somewhere we have mentioned customer focus.
Customer expectation.
So under customer focus, we can mention these customer delight.
Yes.
Do you also suggest all of you to put GMP in this category? Good manufacturing practice.
Yes. We should mention
Customer delight and other words, customer satisfaction.
I mean, delight is the highest version of satisfaction. So let it be delight. Yeah. The turnaround time, shortest turnaround time, TAT, shortest TAT. That will come in customer delight, na Rajshri?
Shortest we want to mention or define that for it so that.
So when we are put on hold for long time as a customer, we don't like it, right?
Every step of the manufacturing process will have a TAT, right? So we cannot turnaround time. So we cannot always mention it as the shortest, right? So it has, in the SOP, it is to be well defined for each step that what will be the TAT of delivery. Does that make sense?
Yeah, to me, yes, you're right.
Or we just mention.
Jot down that point. We will we can correct it if it is not suitable to us. We can correct it in the due course. So whatever the ideas are stuck to your mind, so just jot down.
Yeah, we have to close now. So I think you can continue with the rest of the conversation next.
Yes. HSC, you can put it one action line, HSC also. HSC.
Health, safety, and what?
Environment.
So where we put that under efficiency or process alignment?
Process alignment, yes. Process alignment, you can put it in HSC.
I think health, safety, and environment comes in compliance. So we can talk more. We can put a major header of compliance.
Yeah, on left side, you can put it. Left side, yes.
Health, safety, and environment comes in compliance, as per my understanding.
It's a major part, all the industries.
Yes.
Organization has a budget. So budgeting and costing.
Financial decisions.
Yeah, because if we go over the budget, so then your bottom line gets affected, right? To ensure that you are within your budget allocation is, I think, the responsibility of middle management.
No, senior leadership team. At least in this company, leadership team decides.
But leadership would decide on maybe what budget needs to be allotted, but then to really look into it that we are within the budget and.
No, it is still in my company. It's still the leadership team only. Because leadership team communicates that तेरा budget ये है, तेरे kitty में इतना ही है, तेरे को जो करना है कर लो. So these guys have no decision making roles here.
But I think we should place this also somewhere.
I put it in operational excellence only. Actually, no, Geetika, if you see that way, it's like an ocean.
It's an ocean, yeah.
Anupama, you there in this?
Yes. Are you through? Or you still need some time to conclude?
Anupama, if you give us 1 more hour, we will keep.
We're just building and building.
The framework and the rest of the detailing, you can do it, later. So what we'll do I think it's already 2:04 now. So you can go back to the main room. And then share your discussions that you had with your team, and then Bhagwati will let you know what to do next back home. Right? So you can move to the main room now.
How do we do that?
We will
do it. Leave room.
I will do it. Leave breakout room. Hello. Yes. Hello? Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. Lavanya is back. Yeah, आपका वापस क्यों? Hello. 30 seconds to go, so all will be out of the breakout rooms. All right. All right. Good. Nice to see you all back.
Yeah, we are back. We are back with nothing.
This is just the beginning. So I'm certain there is something. I've been jumping. 1 second. Why?
We have good experience. The last few minutes, we have done good progress. When you came and you gave us a little bit the suggestion, then we grab at the concept.
The process accelerated.
Yeah, you should have stayed for longer, actually, ma'am.
Oh, I was jumping across the groups. I mean, ideally, if it was in-house, in class, in a conference room, would have been a real excellent sessions, because you sit, you debate, you take one company, all of you actually we play roles, and then we actually build it. It would have been fantastic. But we're trying to do more than our best. I think, yeah.
Concept now we understood the concept, so I think our group will do that in a better way if given opportunity next time.
Okay, so I know all of you must be hungry also. It's past 2. So yeah. So just wanted to know, Venkat, are you back?
Yeah. Bhagwati, I'm there.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So quickly, can we have each of the group leaders, one of you, to, for the interest of the others, just say what you have done until now. So what you can then do is connect up, and I know I'm not very sure how you can do it, but if you can connect up among yourselves, share your email IDs or get into your conversation, fix up some time. And if you can just take it forward and come up with some, sketch of, the competency that I showed you on leading and developing, like that, or anything that you can come up with. It's not essential that it will be the end product. It's okay. There need to be a progress. And then we know that, how, if we recap again how the design goes in, then whenever you're doing a live one, then it'll be more helpful. See, my only point is that you should be able to put the theory that I showed you and the actual work that you can put in. It's not expected that you will get everything right. And as Venkat or someone said that, yes, it does take years of experience to get there, but it's not difficult. It's not difficult. You can get there. Maybe another practice session, you can really get there. That's fine. That's fine. All right. So I just leave it to each of the group heads. Anybody, each one of you from your group can wear the hat of a head and just say where you were. What did you do?
Yeah.
Maybe just take about.
So I'll start off, Bhagwati. Yeah. Naresh, it was not as bad as you as you actually mentioned over there after we rejoined all of us. But yeah, we were just trying to, that questionnaire which you, in one of the slides where you had indicated how it's a top-down approach and it needs to flow from the executive leadership levels to the management teams and then the role holders and all that, Bhagwati. So this basically was a case study of ABC Insurance Company Limited, which has a turnover of 1,000 crores. Presently in 2020, and we want to be at 3,000 crores by 2025. Okay, so that was our vision statement. And to achieve this vision statement, we were working. Actually, all the other team members of mine, that is Soumya, Ursula, Naresh, and Reema, and they were actually putting me or pushing me to the corner by bombarding me with all sort of questions and all that. Me being in the CEO role. Okay. So what we came to is some of the challenges that we are facing, the competitors who are there. What is our our key success factor? Okay, and how should we go about the whole thing? And after discussing a lot about the business, then we came to the perspective of the employees. And from the employees' perspective, one of the challenges was with respect to branding and positioning and all. And so we thought that customer focus or customer centricity is one of the competencies on which we need to focus upon and work upon. Okay, so we just came to the competency part. Okay. And customer centricity is something on which we would be now working upon as far as the behavioral indicators, as far as the junior, middle, senior, and the top management level is concerned. So what sort of indicators we need to have at each of these levels is what we were in the last discussion phase.
Okay. Good approach. I think, as you said, if the team can connect up and again think a little more broader again, what next other than just customer, then I think you'll be, even if you can come by next Sunday, at least around 2 competencies you can actually describe. That'll be a great achievement.
Sure. Absolutely.
One for minimum for the teams, one at least for the team. But if you can do 2, you'll able to differentiate between expectations.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah? Great. Okay.
Okay. I have one question here. One second.
Yeah, Naresh, go ahead.
One sec, please. Okay, I have one question here. Venkat has very aptly summarized what we are doing until now. But when I see, in fact, that question I put across to my team also when we were discussing that whatever we have discussed and what are the guideline or the pointers you gave us, wherein we need to speak about the vision of the organization, how we wanted to, what we wanted to achieve, the target, etc., and then the business plan, what are the business plan with the leaders, and then current challenge, future challenges, etc., etc. So until now, whatever we have discussed, and if I look at those pointers which has come out, those are more of a business plan and a strategy plan pointers. So my concern is only that how we are going to drive those behavioral part out of this. I'm not able to connect those dots. Because if we take this, I'll just read out some text. What we could connect is trying to new business verticals. We can get into business. We can find out business aggregators. We would like to focus on innovative approach on new product lines. Then current challenges that we need to build the brand name. We need to come up with a strong process and systems. And then we need to focus that at least we are within top 5 people or top 7 company in the organization. And we need to drive a lot of automation in the company. So likewise, these are the kind of text which I could capture. So how would these texts would get into a behavioral kind of pointers or business enablers, what we are talking about, customer centric or branding, brand creation, etc.
Yeah. So for now, that's what I said when I got into your group. For now, don't have to jump into saying that this is customer centricity I need to get in as titles of competencies. What you need to really define, go back to, is very clearly saying if I have to get into new verticals, I have to, that's actually stated now. We need to get into new verticals. We need to be more technology focused. We have, we need to innovate into new product lines, right? This is what actually you get. We need to get into new methodology of business growth. That's more in terms of, aggregators, right? That's that's a strategy. So what behaviors will enable to realize these targets? You'll put some numbers against each of them, right? So what will enable them? A strategic thinking. More important is alignment to what the thinking is. The other is you need to be talking about around innovation. You may be talking about ability to deal with technology, delivery. You need to be talking about those things. Yeah. So if we are talking about collaboration, we need to be talking about what will help. So ask that question to the team. Among yourselves, you need to be asking. If you are the executive vice president and I'm actually interviewing you, I'm going to ask you the same thing. You want to get into more of aggregator, new products line, new approach of getting business, right? You have 2 or 3 more approaches. All that you're talking about is business growth, right? And how you're going to do, those are basically the technicalities of how you're going to get into the number that you're talking about as a growth, business growth. Now, what behaviors will enable that? Understanding the new methodologies of your business grabbing opportunity, right? The aggregator model, or is there any other model? That's the behavior. So at very senior level, they should be having the ability to come up with innovative solutions of business expansion. And at the other end of the spectrum, you want them to understand the different methodologies that we can, that business growth can happen. Right? One is the visioning part, the other is the alignment part. Mm-hmm. That has to tie up. That's how it is going to tie up. Yeah? So you have to ask, what is that? Okay, if you are the head of HR there, or as a leader of the organization, right? You're one of the executive vice presidents there. What will you do to achieve all of these? What will you demonstrate to your teams, to your organization, to your customers, and internally into processes? What will you do? Ask that question to yourself.
Okay, so if I can say that these are superficial kind of statement, we need to further question on each statement and find out that what is the expectation out of each statement, what sort of competencies or rather behavior a leader is expecting out of these for a particular statement.
Yeah. So basically you're talking about, don't even go into heavy words of competencies. Just say what knowledge they need to be having, what abilities they need to be having, what skill sets they need to be having. And what is that they're, as leaders, what is as leaders, as managers, as frontline executives.
Okay. I could understand what the point is that we need to further get onto each point and understand what is the expectations from the leader.
Exactly.
So that then it will be broken down to the lower and easy to understand words, which can become a behavioral indicators, which can be later on converted into the.
Exactly. So what I would request, Naresh, is that I put up my email ID and also phone number. I'm okay either ways, but just give a quote saying that, competency batch, Meritt batch. If you can just give in the subject and just capsulate your entire thing, whatever you guys have put it till now. If you can send it to me, I'll also mull over it over the week and keep sending you suggestions on how you can think what it is. Because you put up the business plan, you put up how you want to achieve that business plan. That's the whole objective of this session, which you have done now. Now you're going to go back and say what behaviors will actually drive that targets. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So you can make a note of the number and my mail ID, please. And same as with the other groups, you can actually let us know. Sorry, I think we've taken more time than needed. Yes.
I have one question.
Ma'am, 1 second, ma'am.
Yes.
What we want, where we want to go now, and what behaviors we need to demonstrate to go there. This is the focal point of our discussion, right?
Yes.
So we need to first mention what we want to achieve, and second, how our behavior will drive that achievement.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Yes, Venkateshwar.
if suppose there are in a company, there are 300 blue color employees are there. So how can we, white color employees are there, white color. So how can we assess competencies of all these 300 employees?
Yeah, that's part after you're done with your competency exercise. When you have defined it, there are a couple of ways. Either you do an assessment center, but you don't probably want to do for all 300. You might select few and then do assessment center. Or you can actually give the same behavioral competency indicators on a scale, on a defined scale. You actually define them, like how you ask for feedback. You can always ask them, those demonstrated behaviors, you'll write them, you'll describe them, right? You'll put them there. Say there are 20 behaviors. So you'll give it to the reporting managers or anybody. Either you do a 360, asking them, how do you see them? To what degree they are demonstrating this? So if you're saying, for me, I'm Bhagwati, you'll write to my reporting manager, my peers, if you're doing a 360 or 180, or only reporting manager, either ways. You'll actually give the same statements and say, can you rate Bhagwati on each of these statements, how you see that she is demonstrating more often, very rarely. You know? Sorry, somebody has. Can you put it on mute? I think, Johari, you should put yourself on mute. Yeah. So there are different ways. Either you do an assessment center, or you take a feedback directly, or you allow people to do self-assessment. Yeah.
But actually, in many cases, we have seen that self-assessment, when we are giving to individuals, they used to give it actually 10 out of 10.
Correct. I had just done another exercise with a company where the managers have given no less than 9 for any participant whom we actually did a development program. And the irony is that none of them, according to me, are more than a 5 on any of those parameters. And then we went back very heavily on the reporting managers, because we actually enhanced the training program, because the inputs that we got for the development program were as per 5 and 6 only. But when we saw the assessment by the reporting managers, they were all 9, 8, 10, 9, 8, 10. Then we started off with a depth, and it went above their head. So again, the next day we had to change it immediately. We realized that no, they are not there. You know, it's not only about self-assessment, even managers go wrong. They don't want to be bad.
In many cases, the department heads, they wanted to give high rates to their, what we call that, teammates.
Yeah, in a 360, that's what happens when there is a peer level assessment. You pat my back, I pat your back. So you also give me a 9, I'll give you a 9 kind. But what I've done in the past is that I also give them a space to justify why you're giving a 5, why you're giving a 9. Give those critical incidences. Then the 360-degree feedback becomes difficult for them. Yeah, that's feedback mechanism. Then you have to go into an education of how feedback should be given, what it is, purpose, and all that stuff. It's not wrong. The tool is not wrong. The way they're using the tool is perhaps not right.
Is there any tool simplify that actually at one go we can assess all the 300 or 400 employees and get the correct assessment of competency assessment?
Yeah, see, I mean, it's a choice that you can make as a company. You know, you want to do an assessment center for all 300 of them by an impartial outside member, or you want to do it internally with trained assessors. That's again another option. The third option is, if you want to really do it, you do a 360-degree feedback externally driven, not internally driven. You have options, But more important is, I think you need to educate people before you launch that. And the way it has to be designed is support your rating with quoted critical incidences. That's when they go wrong. Because if I give, say, Venkateshwarlu a 10 on 10 and on say collaboration, and I'm not able to quote where and why I see he's so high on collaboration. This is just an example, not that you're not collaborative, just that, I'm not able to, then that feedback will be nullified, will not be taken into account.
Can we validate them with performance ratings, ma'am?
Sorry?
can we validate those ratings with the performance ratings? Suppose if I rate myself 7 or 8, that should also be reflected in my earlier performance appraisal last year as 7 or 8 or even 10 for that.
Yeah.
If there is consistency.
You can, absolutely you can, because if your performance management system design has also behavioral indicators, because it's basically how did you, it's not just what you delivered, but also how you delivered. So what we normally do is we put the 360-degree assessment and the performance assessment together on, on an X and Y, say 360, this is what you got. And then, and also, it is, see, why you want to use the tool is important. Is it you're using to really bang somebody and say that, you're wrong, you did not do this, you overrated yourself? Or are you using to really identify the strengths and areas of improvement? What for are you using the tool? I think if you start looking at it from that perspective, the tool can be used well. And more important is you need to educate. You need to train them on how to give feedback. You need to train managers on how to do a performance assessment very, very candidly. But that depends on how your performance management system is designed. If it's designed, it's like, do you, it's like the feedback when you go to some of the restaurants. By force, you are actually, if you actually look at it, there are 5 questions and all 5 will give you a leading question and leading answer to say, yes, I like the food. Right? So your questionnaire should be very clear, very carefully designed questionnaire on your 360. So this is possible, not that it's not possible. Having said that, no assessment can give you 100% reality picture. Therefore, you actually have to put some things into context and start looking at it.
Can I request you that in the next session, can you give some practical example of the 4 what you call that executive level and middle level and leadership and senior level, how to map the competency of these 4 segments? Can you give some example, concrete example, so that practically we can understand? So this is the way we can capture the competency of a person, like executive level.
Of a person or no? Capture competence. No, I didn't get your question. Can you repeat?
We can say that leadership level or a senior management level or middle level, we can say general manager, how to map the competency of the specific person.
Map or assess?
Assess, sorry.
Assess, yeah. Because you have, okay, perfectly fine. That's part of the next session anyways, assessment centers. So how do we really assess what we do?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Mapping is for a role, right? Not for a person.
No, that's what I asked him.
Okay.
That's what I was asking him. Actually, you do an assessment for a person, and the assessment you do either through an assessment center or 360-degree 180 feedback, basically a feedback mechanism or an assessment. So what you will understand, feedback, all of you are HR guys, you know what it is, 360. I don't think we should look at it. But whatever framework you come up, those descriptions you put up in your 360 questionnaire, exactly the same. So that's your instant. The other way is that you do an assessment center. What goes into an assessment center is what I will explain you. Then you'll get to know what it